Chapter 320. The Prime Minister's Estate. The young Taoist, Gu Su, was in Ling Yu's arms, sobbing so hard that he couldn't catch his breath. He even complained. Shi Shang stood by the door, his iron sword clanging against the floor. Shi Shang felt like something had been stolen from him. He really wanted to chop that brat up. The two Yu exchanged glances. Their lord's aura was really scary. In the end, Shi Shang couldn't take it anymore. He walked over, grabbed Gu Su's collar, and pulled him out of Ling Yu's arms. Senior brother. Senior brother. Gu Su grabbed Ling Yu's hand, his face like a crying kitten. Let go of me, I want senior brother. Who allowed you to want him? Shi Shang said darkly, pointing his sword at Gu Su's hand. Let go. I won't, senior brother. Ugh. Senior brother, save me. Prime Minister. Ling Yu grabbed Gu Su's hand. He's still young. 13 or 14 years old is old enough to serve others. How is he young? Let go. Shi Shang's iron sword was already on Gu Su's wrist. One last chance, or I'll chop off your hand. Woo, don't. Senior brother. Prime Minister. Dai Yu and Ying Yu stood outside, watching the scene unfold. They couldn't bear to watch. They couldn't imagine their wise and mighty Prime Minister threatening a child. Dai Yu suddenly felt something heavy in her arms. She reflexively caught him, only to see a dirty little face with red eyes from crying. Don't let me see him. Bang. Dai Yu looked at the door being slammed shut, then at the person in her arms. Her mouth twitched. My lord, aren't you trying to take his life? When this young Taoist makes a fuss, it's practically a tragedy. Dai Yu, I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first. Ying Yu winked at Dai Yu, giggling, then ran out of the estate. Dai Yu. How careless of her to make friends. Shi Shang closed the door, then aggressively walked toward Ling Yu. Ling Yu was so frightened by his aura that he took a step back. Behind him was the bed. Ling Yu's feet hit the foot of the bed, so he sat down on it. Shi Shang reached out and bent over to support himself on the bed. Ling Yu could only lean back. Prime Minister. It was improper for men and women to touch each other. Shi Shang looked straight into his eyes and said word by word, You're not allowed to touch anyone in the future, not even men. This is my freedom, Ling Yu said with a stiff expression. He didn't want to admit that he wasn't disgusted at all when she said that. Instead, it was as if he had said countless times that this was how they should be. I'll kill whoever you touch. Go ahead and touch whoever you want to die. Ling Yu was speechless. Did I run into a lunatic? Taking a deep breath, he said with an indifferent expression, I agreed to go down the mountain, Prime Minister. Since Prime Minister helped me, we are even. Even. Ling Yu's heart skipped a beat. For some reason, he felt like there were countless twists and turns when she said those two words, as if she was able to infer gratitude and hatred from them. Shi Shang knelt on the bed, and Ling Yu was forced to continue cowering as he furrowed his brows. Even? You're dreaming. Do you really think I'll let go of the fact that you stabbed me? Shi Shang slowly climbed up the bed, and Ling Yu could only retreat until he was pressed against the wall. There was nowhere else to go. I helped you that night. Do you really think I'll let it go just like that? Ling Yu's face instantly heated up, and the tips of his ears turned red. His heart beat like a drum, and the thumping of his heart affected every nerve in his body. He didn't dare to look straight at Shi Shang. I'm very sorry about stabbing you, Prime Minister. But you were the one who trespassed on Yuan first. But you were the one who injured me. Shi Shang smiled. Assassinating the Prime Minister is a capital offense. Ling Yu was speechless. Shi Shang's fingertips slowly slid down his collar and landed on his lower abdomen. He smiled meaningfully, clearly harboring evil intentions. Little Taoist, do you want this Prime Minister to help you one more time? Ling Yu's body stiffened. He couldn't forget that night even if he wanted to. In fact, occasionally, he would even dream of things that shouldn't have happened. How could he have such thoughts? Prime Minister, don't force me. Ling Yu's expression suddenly turned cold. Shi Shang moved his hand away and quickly kissed him on the lips. "All right, I won't tease you anymore. But remember one thing. I'll make you fall in love with me. Before that, you're not allowed to leave the Prime Minister's residence." Ling Yu's mind was currently buzzing. She kissed him. She actually kissed him. Shi Shang retreated from the bed and straightened his clothes. "Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? You probably didn't eat much in the palace." Ling Yu stared blankly at him. "Don't worry, I won't drug you. If I wanted to use force, you'd be..." Shi Shang swept a roguish gaze over him. Ling Yu's face was burning hot as he pulled the blanket over himself. How could this woman be so shameless? As expected, no matter who her Feng Ci turned into, he couldn't change his shyness. Shi Shang was in a good mood as he went outside to order the servants to prepare some food. Even after all the dishes were served, Ling Yu was still sitting on the bed with a red face. "Do you want me to feed you?" Ling Yu shook his head. "Then why aren't you getting down?" Shi Shang paused. "I'll carry you." With that, he walked over to the bed. Ling Yu immediately lifted the blanket and got off the bed. Shi Shang looked at him regretfully, then returned to the table. "Let's eat." He watched as Shi Shang sat down. There were still 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks on the table, but he didn't move. "You want to eat here too?" "Can't I?" "The entire Prime Minister's residence is mine. It's my freedom to eat wherever I want." Ling Yu. He had no reason to refute. He dawdled for a while, but in the end, he still went over. It was true that he hadn't eaten much in the palace. Even the amount of water he drank was very little. Considering that Ling Yu was a Taoist priest, Shi Shang had the servants prepare vegetarian dishes. Although they couldn't compare to the modern world chefs, they were still delicious. Ling Yu didn't say anything and just picked up his bowl to eat. Shi Shang realized that he was actually a picky eater. Out of several dishes, he only ate one. "Shi Shang. Why do I feel like he's going to be hard to deal with this time? I want to go back to Mt Wanyuan." Ling Yu put down his bowl and looked at Shi Shang. Shi Shang tilted his head and glanced at him. "Did you ignore everything I said just now?" Ling Yu pursed his lips. "I want to go back to Mt Wanyuan to get something." Shi Shang's tense expression immediately brightened. I'll accompany you back tomorrow." Shi Shang asked the servants to take away the dishes before she left. As he was leaving, he asked, "Where's your sword?" "It's in the palace," Ling Yu replied with a frown. "He had to go and get it back. Have a good rest. I'll take you back to Mt Wanyuan tomorrow." Shi Shang nodded. "Don't run off, or I'll kill your junior brother." "You won't," Ling Yu suddenly replied confidently. "Is that so? Then you can try." Shi Shang's lips twitched into a fake smile. Shi Shang. Everyone who touches you feels like they're stealing. This Prime Minister agrees with this saying. "Little fairy, what's wrong with you?" Shi Shang, smiling while drawing sword. Little fairy, kneeling down with a thud. "Great God, I was wrong." Chapter 321. Your Majesty, the Prime Minister is here. The shouts from outside interrupted the deep conversation between the 2 people on the bed. "Your Majesty." The man in the palace robe clung to the Empress, calling out seductively. The Empress felt weak all over. It was said that women in their 30s and 40s were as fierce as tigers. The Empress was at this age, so why would she care about the Prime Minister? "Let her wait," the Empress ordered vaguely, then began another round of conversation with the man. "Prime Minister, you can't go in." "Ouch. Hurry and stop the Prime Minister." There was a sudden commotion outside. If the Empress could continue like this, then she was also a strong person. She angrily put on her clothes and got out of bed. Outside, the Shi Shang had also knocked down quite a few people on his way to the inner palace. Ah! The moment the Shi Shang entered, he caused a wave of screams. The palace was filled with a very strong aphrodisiac, so the moment the Shi Shang entered, he saw stars. The people scurrying around looking for places to hide were all men, and they were all dressed very skimpily. As expected, lust was hereditary. Prime Minister! The Empress gritted her teeth and glared at the intruder. We aren't dead yet. Are you trying to force us to abdicate by barging into our chambers? Force your ass. Do I look like such a senseless person to you? Where's Ling Yu's sword? Sword. The Empress' expression became strange at this sudden turn of events. Barging into the palace in the middle of the night just for a sword? The Empress didn't believe it. Prime Minister, where's the sword? The Shi Shang impatiently interrupted the Empress. He felt like he was being an eyesore here. He felt like he was letting his wife down. This was unacceptable. The Empress frowned. Her gaze swept over the iron sword in the Shi Shang's hand, and she hurriedly ordered someone to fetch it. The person who fetched the sword trembled as he presented the flexible sword to the Shi Shang. The Shi Shang confirmed that it was Ling Yu's flexible sword. He didn't even bother to look at the Empress's sword as he turned and left. He left just like that. Did he really leave? Did he really come for the sword? Only after Shi Shang disappeared from the hall did the Empress believe that this traitorous prime minister of hers had really come for the sake of a sword. The Empress did want to send people to encircle and kill her, but on the day of the Heavens ritual, she had seen her strength with her own eyes. Could these idiots in the palace really kill her? Don't provoke her when the time comes. The gains won't make up for the losses. Shi Shang said that he would bring Ling Yu back to him to Wanyuan. The next morning, he really did prepare a carriage and brought Ling Yu out of the city. She only brought Ling Yu with her. The two of them sat in the carriage and stared at each other. After a while, Shi Shang took out a soft sword from the side. Here. Ling Yu stared at the sword for a full 3 seconds before accepting it. Was this why she had asked him about the sword yesterday? Aren't you afraid that I'll use this sword to deal with you? She returned the sword to him just like that. Was she really not worried at all? Shi Shang looked at her lovingly. As long as you're happy. If you want to deal with me, you need to have the strength to do so. Ling Yu. There was no way to communicate. The carriage soon arrived at Mt Wanyuan. Ling Yu wanted to climb up the sky steps. Shi Shang had no choice but to accompany him. Before they were even halfway up, Shi Shang was already panting from exhaustion. Ling Yu stood at the top of a few steps, his face completely unruffled as he stared coldly at the woman who was sitting on the ground without a care for her image. His heart was crumbling. She didn't seem this tired even when she was fighting. It was just climbing a ladder. Did she have to be this tired? Fighting really wasn't tiring for Shi Shang. After all, he had an iron sword that could cut through people like a carrot. Unless it was a battle of attrition, he didn't expend much energy. But this ladder was practically at a 90-degree angle. What did 90-degree angle mean? If she wasn't careful, she'd fall down. As a civil official, she was already doing her best to climb halfway up. Just as Shi Shang was panting for breath, a shadow suddenly appeared in front of her. A fair, slender hand reached out to her. Shi Shang looked in the direction of the hand. Ling Yu's gaze wandered as he stubbornly explained, "If you keep walking like this, we won't be able to climb the mountain until dark." "Why don't you carry me then?" Shi Shang took advantage of his situation. Ling Yu was about to pull his hand back with a dark expression, but Shi Shang immediately reached out and grabbed him. Not carrying. It's fine holding hands." Ling Yu harumphed. Shi Shang's face darkened. "Fine, he's showing his tsundere side." "Very well." Borrowing Ling Yu's strength, Shi Shang stood up. Ling Yu walked in front of her, holding her hand as they climbed up the mountain. Shi Shang took the opportunity to slip her hand through his and interlock their fingers. Ling Yu glanced back at her and tightened his grip. In the end, he continued walking with a cold expression. When they reached the monastery, Ling Yu tried to pull his hand back, but it was to no avail. "Prime Minister, let go. Don't you know that men and women shouldn't touch each other? I'm afraid you'll fall." "It's better if I hold your hand," Shi Shang said sternly. Ling Yu. This was his territory. How could he possibly fall? Ling Yu tried several times, but he couldn't pull his hand back. Shi Shang looked at him with a smile. Ling Yu's heart began to beat wildly. He hurriedly averted his gaze and strode toward the loft at the top of the cliff. He warned himself not to think about it, but the sensation in his hand made it hard for him to not think about it. Her hand was very small, and her skin was delicate. It was completely different from the rough and broad skin of other women. This hand had once held his most private place. Thinking of this, Ling Yu subconsciously tightened his grip. Little Taoist, even if you don't want to hold my hand, you don't have to cripple my hand, do you? Shi Shang sucked in a cold breath. Ling Yu snapped out of his daze and realized that he had used so much strength. He immediately let go. Shi Shang's hand was already red. I'm sorry. He hadn't done it on purpose. His heart was in a mess, and he didn't know how to face her. Shi Shang shook his hand. Why was this child's hand so strong? Mother **Ker, my hand was going to break. Help me blow on it. Shi Shang raised her hand in front of Ling Yu and blinked. Her face was full of grievance, and she was just short of crying. Ling Yu looked at the red mark he had left on her hand. After a moment of silence, he held her hand and gently blew on it. His warm breath hit her hand, and it was like a feather brushing against her heart. It made her feel numb and ticklish, making her want to pounce on him. In the end, her rationality prevailed over her impulse. However, she continued to shamelessly ask for more benefits. It won't hurt if you kiss me. Ling Yu looked at her. Shi Shang did her best to make her expression look more aggrieved. Her long, curly eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings. Her usually calm eyes seemed to be tinged with a smile and warmth, drawing him in. He didn't know why, but he planted a kiss on her hand. His lips were a little cold, and when they landed on her skin that was burning from the pain, the coolness was just enough to dispel the burning sensation. Ling Yu. Ling Yu's face was slightly red. He raised his head to look at her, and his eyes widened. Ling Yu didn't expect her to suddenly pounce on him, so he was pushed into the grass behind him. Ling Yu. Shi Shang's gaze was somewhat serious. At first, Ling Yu's body was very stiff. However, when she called his name, he didn't know why, but he felt very uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable that he almost couldn't breathe. It's 5 chapters every day. I don't cut any corners. Little fairy, I'm so sad. It's better if I buy tickets. Chapter 322. By the time Shi Shang let go of Ling Yu, his face was flushed red, making him look extremely adorable. Shi Shang lay on top of him and smiled at him. It's all your fault for being too tempting. I couldn't control myself. Ling Yu's face turned even redder as he frantically pushed her away. Ha 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 ha. Shi Shang sat on the ground and laughed. Ling Yu glared at her. He didn't care whether she followed or not and quickly walked up the mountain. He actually didn't push her away earlier and even cooperated with her. Ling Yu really wanted to slap himself. What kind of demon had he been possessed by? Ling Yu reached out and touched his lips. Her scent and warmth still lingered on them. Don't think about it, don't think about it. Ling Yu wanted to wipe his lips with his sleeve, but the moment his sleeve touched his lips, he put it down. He quickly returned to the loft and headed for the 3rd floor. There was a study on the 3rd floor, surrounded by bookshelves. Probably because no one had lived here for a long time, the interior was covered in a layer of dust. Ling Yu headed straight for one of the bookshelves. He took down a box from one of the bookshelves and hurriedly opened it. Inside lay a brocade pouch. He took out the brocade pouch and hesitated for a long time before slowly opening it. There was only a single slip of paper in the brocade pouch. Follow your heart. Respect your will. These words were written in a flamboyant style on the paper. Follow your heart. Respect your will. Did Master mean for him to respect his own heart and follow his heart? But Ling Yu tightened his grip on the paper and looked out the window, just in time to see Shi Shang land below. She raised her head slightly and met his gaze. Her lips curved into a smile as she stood there with no intention of coming up. Ling Yu stared at her for a while, then turned around to find a brazier and burned the brocade pouch along with the paper. He closed the window and sat on the ground as he watched the flames flicker before finally extinguishing. Sparks of light flickered on and off. Ling Yu sat there for 2 days. He thought about many things, but he decided to do as Master said. Follow your heart. Respect your will. It was just that. She didn't want to disappoint him. Ling Yu took a few things from the bookshelves and carried them to the stairs. Finally, he glanced back at the study, then went downstairs. When he pushed open the door and saw the person standing outside, he wasn't surprised at all. It was as if he knew that she would be waiting for him here. No matter how long he stayed inside, she would be there. This was a very strange intuition, one that made him feel at ease. Shi Shang watched as Ling Yu came out carrying some things. Most of them were books, and there was even a bundle hanging from his body. She immediately went forward to take the things and asked him with a faint smile, "Have you thought it through?" Ling Yu didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "Will you have other servants?" "No, I'll only have you, forever and ever. Women always say nice things." Ling Yu snorted, but his ears were slightly red. 4 generations to come. How did she know that there would be reincarnations? When a person dies, it's like an extinguished lamp. There's nothing left. Shi Shang tilted his head and smiled. "I'll show you. You'll understand one day. It wasn't fate that we met. I was the one who was looking for you. Trichiliocosm, no matter where you are, I will find you and stay with you." Ling Yu frowned slightly, not understanding what she meant. Shi Shang did not explain. "Is there anything else you want to bring?" Ling Yu turned around and returned to the attic. Moments later, he carried out a large chest. Shi Shang was speechless. What the hell was this? Shi Shang wanted to open the chest to take a look, but Ling Yu pressed down on it, not letting him. "You won't let me see?" Ling Yu nodded. "Kiss me, and I won't look." Shi Shang inched closer to Ling Yu. He was constantly trying to get benefits for himself. Ling Yu looked at the chest, then at Shi Shang. There was a struggle in his eyes, as if he was making a choice. In the end, he actually let go of the chest. Let go of the chest. Shi Shang was speechless. "It's not like you'll die from a kiss, but he actually won't do it. This, BBB, is so angry." Shi Shang put the chest into his storage space with a dark expression, as well as everything else. "Where did you put the things?" Ling Yu finally asked out of curiosity. Her iron sword would always appear out of nowhere. He'd been curious about it for a long time. "I won't tell you even if you kiss me," Shi Shang snorted. "I, BBB, am a person of principle. I need to kiss you twice." Ling Yu was speechless. Evidently, Ling Yu wasn't that curious about that item. Since Shi Shang didn't answer, he didn't ask. Shi Shang was speechless. "Why aren't you asking anymore?" "Ask away." What do I do if my wife's curiosity is bad? It's quite urgent. Waiting online. Ling Yu used his qigong to fly over the cliff, but when he turned around, he found that Shi Shang was still standing there. "I can't go over." Shi Shang felt like his ability to lie through his teeth had reached a godly level. He was really going all out to get his wife. Ling Yu's lips twitched. "Then how did you get over the last few times?" Gu Su had told him that her sword could become bigger and fly. Ling Yu turned around and went down the mountain, deciding to ignore Shi Shang. "Ling Yu, don't go. Little Taoist." "Wife." What the hell was wife? Ling Yu walked even faster, disappearing from Shi Shang's sight in just a few steps. Ling Yu tidied up the monastery, locking up all the places that needed to be locked. However, he still didn't see Shi Shang coming down. He waited and waited. The sky was already dark, but he still didn't see anyone. In the end, Ling Yu gritted his teeth and went up the mountain. He saw Shi Shang sitting on the stone railing in a daze. When Shi Shang saw him, Shi Shang immediately jumped down. "Wife, Hurry up and bring me over. Ling Yu. Just how stubborn was she? If he didn't come up, was she going to stay here forever? Ling Yu jumped over. You could have come over yourself. Why did you have to make me? Who told you I could go over myself? Shi Shang said righteously. Nonsense. Then how did you get over? Ling Yu's lips twitched. Shi Shang refused to admit it and pointed at some vines on the cliff. I climbed over there. I almost fell. If I fell, you wouldn't be able to see me. What if you got bullied by others? That's why I can't die blah blah blah. Ling Yu took a deep breath and decided to stop listening to her nonsense. He reached out his hand. Shi Shang immediately grabbed his hand and hugged his waist, kissing him on the cheek. Ling Yu. This woman. This was Shi Shang's first time being carried by someone using Qinggong. It was a novel experience. Moreover, whenever Ling Yu used Qinggong, she could feel a faint spiritual energy surrounding him. There was clearly no spiritual energy in this world, so why was there spiritual energy in Ling Yu's body? Also, she didn't need to send her spiritual energy into his body to feel a sense of familiarity. Because it was too late, the two of them couldn't leave the mountain, so they spent the night in the monastery below. Shi Shang tried to get into the same room, but Ling Yu mercilessly rejected her. Unexpectedly, it started raining heavily in the middle of the night, drenching Shi Shang completely. The roof had probably been in disrepair for a long time, so when it rained heavily outside, it started to drizzle inside. Shi Shang got up with a dark expression. Carrying a slightly wet blanket, he went to knock on Ling Yu's door. Ling Yu's room wasn't much better. Half of the bed was leaking rain. Thank you to the cherub who tipped me. Please vote. T carat if I don't vote, I'll show you. T to the power of T. Chapter 323. Ling Yu went to check on the other rooms. Most of them were leaking. His master had always been in charge of repairing the roof. After his master left, Ling Yu had been living in the loft, so he had no idea that the normally nice Taoist temple would become like this on a rainy day. It wasn't safe to go up the mountain in such a heavy rain. Only Junior Brother's room isn't leaking. You can sleep in his room. Ling Yu avoided the leaking rain and walked to the bed. Shi Shang was sitting on the bed, hugging her blanket. Her hair and body were wet from the rain when she came over from the courtyard, so they were now sticking to her body. Where are you sleeping? I'll sleep here. Ling Yu pointed at the bed Shi Shang was sitting on. He could make do for one night. Then I'll sleep here too. Ling Yu was speechless. Only one person could sleep on this bed. The other side was leaking rain. Then I'll sleep in Junior Brother's room. If she didn't want to leave, then he would. I'll go too. Shi Shang hugged her blanket and prepared to get off the bed. Prime Minister, men and women shouldn't touch each other, Ling Yu reminded her. Shi Shang tilted her head, an innocent expression on her face. I'm not trying to do anything to you. I'm just sharing a bed. Once you enter the residence, we'll still have to sleep together. This can be considered a rehearsal. There was a rehearsal for sleeping? Ling Yu felt like there was no way he could communicate with this woman. Just as they were in a deadlock, rain began to leak from where Shi Shang was sitting. Shi Shang shrugged and smiled. You can't blame me for this. The two of them finally moved the blanket to Gu Su's room. Ling Yu said that Gu Su's room wasn't leaking rain, but he was referring to the fact that there wasn't any rain near his bed. There was some hay on the bed, so rainwater dripped down the hay to the side. Shi Shang gave Ling Yu a strange look. Ling Yu felt a bit awkward. He rarely came here, so Gu Su was usually alone. He didn't know about this at all. Gu Su's bed was very small, so there was only a small gap between the two of them. Shi Shang let Ling Yu sleep inside. Ling Yu was very nervous as he climbed onto the bed. The pitter-patter of the rain seemed to be dripping from the bottom of his heart, and his heartbeat was almost synchronized with it. Shi Shang climbed onto the bed and saw Ling Yu leaning against it. He frowned. Come here. I don't take up much space. Ling Yu shook his head, a hint of wariness in his eyes. Shi Shang was speechless. Did she look that desperate? It really was. All right, there was nothing to be ashamed of about wanting to sleep with her own man. She just wanted to sleep with him. Let me dry your hair. Shi Shang waved a towel that he had taken out of nowhere. Ling Yu's hair was even wetter than hers when he went outside to check on the room earlier. Ling Yu's face reddened. What was I thinking? She propped herself up and sat over. Half kneeling on the ground, Shi Shang untied his hair and gently dried his hair. He could feel her body temperature, as well as her fingertips that faintly brushed against his neck. There was a slight chill, like a numbing electric current that instantly spread throughout his body. It's done. Shi Shang touched his hair. Although it wasn't very dry, it was much better than before. Shi Shang casually dried her hair. Her jacket was wet, so she prepared to take it off. What are you doing? Ling Yu had shrunk back inside at some point. My clothes are wet, so I'm taking them off. She quickly took off her jacket. The clothes inside were still dry. Your jacket is wet too. You'll get sick if you wear it. Take it off. Ling Yu stared at Shi Shang for a while before slowly taking off his jacket. Sleep. The two of them covered themselves. When Ling Yu saw that Shi Shang had shrunk into her own blanket, his anxious heart finally relaxed. The temperature on the mountain was low at night to begin with. Now that it was raining, it was even colder. Shi Shang covered herself with an especially thin blanket. She felt cold all over. The original owner of this body was a good-for-nothing who could get a high fever after being drenched in the rain. Shi Shang couldn't fall asleep no matter how hard she tried. She didn't seem to have any blankets in her space. It seemed like she would have to store some in her space in the future. Ah. Shi Shang covered her mouth. Her nose itched, and she couldn't help but sneeze. F***ck. Shi Shang turned to look inside. Her eyes flashed, and she moved over. Unexpectedly, Ling Yu sat up. In the darkness, all Shi Shang could see was a black shadow. It's cold. Shi Shang looked pitifully at the black shadow. Ah. Ling Yu had internal energy to protect his body, so he didn't feel too cold. It's really cold. Feel it if you don't believe me. Shi Shang stretched her hand out. It took a while for the person opposite her to grab her hand. Compared to her warm hand from before, her hand felt like it had just been taken out of an ice cellar. It was bone-chillingly cold. Ling Yu felt that strange dull pain in his heart again. He gripped Shi Shang's hand tightly and hesitated for a while before lifting his own blanket. He said in a low voice, "You're not allowed to touch me." Okay. Shi Shang's voice was a little nasal as she quickly moved under Ling Yu's blanket. Warmth immediately spread through her body. Shi Shang smacked her lips in comfort. Ling Yu went to get Shi Shang's blanket. The place she had been lying on was cold, and the blanket was a little wet. Why didn't she say so earlier? Ling Yu gave up on using the blanket and carefully lay down. Lying under the same blanket as Shi Shang, Ling Yu's already tense nerves became even more tense. Shi Shang placed her cold hand on Ling Yu's body. Ling Yu stiffened and didn't move. Shi Shang seemed to be taking advantage of him. Her whole body leaned on him. Prime Minister. Didn't you say you wouldn't touch me? Shi Shang shrunk her neck and said pitifully, "It's cold." Ling Yu was speechless. You're a woman, all right? Why are you acting like a delicate man at a time like this? In the end, Shi Shang hugged Ling Yu and went to sleep, satisfied. Ling Yu couldn't fall asleep at all. His ears were filled with the sound of the rain and her breathing. He didn't even know when he fell asleep. In his daze, he felt something licking his lips. As soon as he opened his eyes, he met Shi Shang's smiling eyes. She was so close to him, so close that he could see the minute details of her face. Shi Shang slowly pushed her tongue into his mouth. Seeing that he didn't object, she continued. Ling Yu was instantly jolted awake and pushed Shi Shang away. His hands had somehow ended up in front of her chest. The softness caused him to shrink back as if he had been electrocuted. You. Didn't you say you wouldn't touch me? I didn't touch you, Shi Shang said innocently. I touched your mouth. Ling Yu didn't know whether it was from anger or embarrassment, but his face turned red. Liar. Women really are all liars. Okay, I was wrong. Don't be angry. Shi Shang saw that Ling Yu's expression was turning uglier and uglier, so she hurriedly apologized. Without your permission, I definitely won't touch you again, alright? Don't be angry. It's not good for your body to be angry in the morning. Ling Yu got off the bed without a word, grabbed his jacket, and headed outside. Shi Shang was speechless. It's just a kiss. Wife, don't be angry. At most, I'll let you kiss me back. Shi Shang eagerly followed after Ling Yu, then shamelessly surrounded Ling Yu and apologized. Shi Shang, kiss me back, wife. Ling Yu, shameless. Shi Shang, if you're shameless, you won't have a wife. Chapter 324. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sky was blue, the clouds were white, and the sun was warm. Ying Yu, who had been waiting below, was about to grow hair. She had decided that if Sir didn't come down today, she would go up. But just as she made her decision, she saw her master and Ling Yu coming down one after the other. Shi Shang helped Ling Yu into the carriage, his careful attitude causing Ying Yu's eyes to almost pop out of their sockets. Your Excellency, what were you and Sir Ling Yu doing on the mountain? In Ying Yu's mind, Shi Shang and Ling Yu had already slept together that night, so she didn't think there was anything wrong with Shi Shang and Ling Yu spending a day or two alone on the mountain. It was hard to understand Darren's thoughts. Ying Yu shook off her thoughts and drove the carriage back to the mansion. Duan Qingyun waited outside the Prime Minister's residence for an entire day, but he didn't see anyone. He couldn't help but feel a little down. Just as he was about to leave, the crisp sound of horse hooves rang out. He raised his head and saw a carriage with a lantern hanging from the Prime Minister's residence stopped at the gate. When he saw Shi Shang coming down from the carriage, his face lit up. Just as he was about to go over, he saw her carefully helping a man down from the carriage. The man was wearing an ordinary green Taoist robe, but even so, it couldn't hide his enviable face. So the rumors were true. She really took a fancy to a Taoist priest. She even treated him so well. Duan Qingyun unconsciously clenched his fists as he stared at their backs. As soon as the Shi Shang entered the estate, Gu Su appeared out of nowhere and pounced straight into Ling Yu's arms. Shi Shang was talking to Ying Yue, so he didn't stop him in time, and he really jumped in. Dai Yu hurriedly ran over from the corridor and saw Gu Su hugging Ling Yu's waist, while her Prime Minister was glaring at Gu Su with a dark expression. Dai Yu's heart thumped. She stepped forward and pried Gu Su away. My lord, it was this subordinate who didn't see Sir Gu Su. Please don't blame him. Let me go, I want senior brother. Gu Su struggled with all his might. Dai Yu wanted nothing more than to cover Gu Su's mouth. Little ancestor, you still dare to cause trouble in front of the Lord? Look at the Lord's expression, he looks like he's going to chop someone up. Under Shi Shang's murderous gaze, Ling Yu approached Gu Su and patted his head. Gu Su immediately stopped making a fuss. Lady Dai Yu, please let go of my junior brother. Dai Yu looked at Shi Shang awkwardly, not knowing whether she should release him or not. However, Shi Shang didn't give Dai Yu any instructions. He flung his sleeves and strode away. Sir, what do you mean by this? Are you going to release him or not? Ying Yu shook her head at Dai Yu, indicating that she didn't know what the Prime Minister meant. In the end, Dai Yu released Gu Su. This was the junior brother of her future monarch. It was better for her not to offend him. Senior brother, senior brother. Gu Su shook Ling Yu's hand. Ling Yu retracted his gaze and patted Gu Su's head out of habit. Like a kitten, Gu Su clung to Ling Yu and refused to let go. After dinner, Ling Yu still didn't see Shi Shang. After coaxing Gu Su to sleep, Ling Yu slowly made his way to his room. Just now, the Empress invited my lord to the palace. I don't know why she hasn't returned yet. Sir, you're not afraid of the Empress. What are you worried about? You're right. Ah, Sir Ling Yu. The two youths hurriedly bowed in greeting. Ling Yu nodded slightly and walked past them. He could vaguely hear their whispers. Sir Ling Yu is truly fortunate to be favored by my lord. This is the first time our my lord has doted on a young master like this. Even that Sir Duan didn't receive such treatment. Of course. Did you see what Lady Dai you had people prepare yesterday? Even the palace's stuff can't compare. Ling Yu's steps slowed. Sir Duan? What Sir Duan? The Empress had invited Shi Shang into the palace because of the Crown Princess' disappearance. At first, even the Empress thought that the Crown Princess had snuck out of the palace. However, whenever the Crown Princess snuck out of the palace, she would always bring someone with her. This time, she didn't bring anyone with her. That was why the Empress became nervous. After investigating, she found out that the Crown Princess was last seen in the palace Ling Yu used to live in. Shi Shang just so happened to be there at the time. Such a coincidence made the Empress suspicious. Thus, she summoned Shi Shang for an audience. Beloved subject, you really haven't seen the Crown Princess? The Empress' gaze seemed to want to bore a hole through Shi Shang. Shi Shang casually stood below. Your Majesty, you can suspect that I did something to the Crown Princess, but you have to show evidence. Imperial sister went missing on the path to Jingyang Palace. You were the only one there at the time. Jiang Ji, who was standing next to the Empress, spoke up. Right now, she was looking at Shi Shang with eyes full of wariness. Did she really transmigrate too? I can't just disappear from such a big, living person, can I? When I left the palace, I didn't bring anything with me. At the time, she stuffed the Crown Princess into her space and swaggered out of the main entrance. There were dozens and dozens of witnesses. The Empress was speechless. Everyone on duty that day had been arrested and interrogated, but everyone's confessions were the same. The Prime Minister had gone in alone and left alone. There was nothing strange about it. Could it really not be her? Then where did the Crown Princess go? Shi Shang had someone bring him a stool. After sitting down, he leisurely said, Even if I killed the Crown Princess, what can you do to me, Your Majesty? Slap. The Empress slammed her hand on the table. Jun Leo. I'm just joking. There's no need to be so agitated, Your Majesty. Shi Shang crossed his arms in front of his chest. His posture was relaxed, a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere in front of him. The Empress pointed at Shi Shang, speechless for a long time. This Jun Leo was audacious and condescending. How infuriating! Shi Shang insisted that he hadn't seen the Crown Princess. When she went, Ling Yu was the only one in the palace. The people on duty at the palace also testified that Shi Shang only went in after the Crown Princess left. Neither the Empress nor Jiang Ji had any concrete evidence. Now that she was under the Jun family's control, what could she do? In the end, she could only grit her teeth and let Shi Shang go. Do you think she has anything to do with the Crown Princess' disappearance? The Empress looked at Jiang Ji, her eyes indescribably sinister. Jiang Ji felt her scalp go numb. She conservatively replied, I don't know. As the Crown Princess mother, the Empress wasn't worried about her daughter's safety. She was only worried about the consequences of this incident, the losses it would bring her, and the benefits it would bring her. In the Empress's heart, there was probably nothing more important than her throne. She'd actually thought she could talk about kinship with the Empress. She was too naive. This world wasn't the one she lived in at all. Moreover, this was the Empress, who held such a high position. The Empress sneered, her voice powerful. Even if it isn't, it still has to be. Jiang Ji lowered her head, hiding the fear in her eyes. By the time she left the palace, her back was already soaked in cold sweat. Please vote T please. Chapter 325. Shi Shang left the palace, secretly imagining the chaos that would ensue the next day. He walked unsteadily toward the Prime Minister's residence. As a high-ranking official, such behavior was very dangerous, but there was no melodramatic assassination. She only saw a man run out of the darkness, followed by several burly women. Very good. A hero saving a damsel in distress. It was even more melodramatic than an assassination. Was it really okay to spill melodramatic blood every day? Those burly women chased after the man until he reached Shi Shang. The man probably wanted to pounce on Shi Shang, but Shi Shang turned and easily avoided the man's bare hug. The man stumbled and fell to the ground. There was almost no light in the surroundings, so he could only distinguish them by the dim moonlight in the sky. Shi Shang looked for a while before he could figure out who the man on the ground was. Duan Qingyun. I'm warning you, don't meddle in other people's business. The burly women also walked up to them, but they didn't even look at Duan Qingyun. Instead, they focused on Shi Shang. Shi Shang. I haven't even moved a finger. How am I meddling in other people's business? Blindness is an illness that needs to be treated. Prime Minister. Duan Qingyun was still lying on the ground, looking at Shi Shang in panic. Save me. Save you? What the hell? Shi Shang's lips curled up slightly, and he walked toward Duan Qingyun. Hey, hurry up and leave. This has nothing to do with you. If you leave now, we'll pretend we didn't see anything. Shi Shang had already walked to Duan Qingyun's side, and under Duan Qingyun's expectant gaze, he picked him up. Prime Minister. Duan Qingyun's voice was choked with sobs. He knew the Prime Minister still liked him. Shi Shang carried him toward the burly women, and the group retreated warily. Shi Shang stuffed Duan Qingyun into the arms of the burly woman closest to him. Hold on tight. I won't help you catch him if he runs away. The burly woman. That's not right. Shouldn't I chase them away, then have a wonderful night with the beauty? Shi Shang walked around them and walked forward. After taking a few steps, he paused and tilted his head. Next time, remember not to hire this kind of retard. It's obvious that he's a fake. Duan Qingyun, the retarded group. The Shi Shang quickly disappeared from their sight. Duan Qingyun pushed away the masculine woman hugging him and shook his body in disgust. The tough woman's face immediately darkened. What are you looking at? You can't even do something I asked you to do. What a bunch of trash. Duan Qingyun poked the woman's chest with his finger. Duan Qingyun lectured them for quite a while, and the faces of the burly women were all ashen. When Shi Shang was about to reach the Prime Minister's mansion, he felt that something was wrong with his body. She raised her hand to the lantern outside the Prime Minister's residence and looked at it. It was very clean. She put it to the tip of her nose and sniffed. There was no smell. But Shi Shang quickly entered the mansion. My lord. Shi Shang felt as if a fire was burning in his body and his mouth was dry. Good job. He actually dared to drug I. Duan Qingyun. If I don't kill you, I'll take your surname. Shi Shang refused to be helped up and had someone prepare cold water. The Prime Minister's mansion was immediately thrown into chaos. Dai Yu and Ying Yu rushed over when they received news. Shi Shang was already soaking in cold water. My lord, how did you fall for it? Should we invite? Shi Shang's cheeks were red as he lay on the edge of the bathtub, not wanting to move a single finger. Go and capture Duan Qingyun for me. The two youths. Shouldn't we be inviting Sir Lingyu now? Why are we going to capture Sir Duan? Could it be that my lord? The two exchanged a look. Then Dai Yu left the room. As she stepped out, she was startled. Sir Lingyu, you, Sir Lingyu, where are you going? Dai Yu was confused. Sir Lingyu was already here, so why didn't he go in? Could it be that they were embarrassed? Just as she was wondering what was going on, someone suddenly bumped into her. Then, she saw her mistress running out, dripping wet. She wasn't even wearing shoes as she chased after Lingyu. Dai Yu looked at Ying Yu, who had followed behind her. Ying Yu inwardly face-bombed at Dai Yu's blockhead. Sir Ling, you must have heard my lord talking about capturing Duan Qingyun. If my lord wants to capture Duan Qingyun in this state, won't others misunderstand? But from my lord's tone, it's clear she doesn't intend to let Duan Qingyun off. Ying Yu felt that she wouldn't be able to explain herself to Dai Yu, so she'd better go capture Duan Qingyun. Shi Shang caught up to Ling Yu in front of his room. Just as he was about to open the door, Shi Shang ran over like a gust of wind. Ling Yu frowned at him, his voice cold. "What are you doing here?" Shi Shang panted as he propped himself against the door. The scorching heat and cold wind inside his body were like two worlds of ice and fire. "What did you hear just now? What did you not want me to hear?" Ling Yu looked at him coldly. "I'm actually trying to trust a woman?" Shi Shang took 2 steps forward. "I had someone. Prime Minister, there's no need to explain anything to me." Ling Yu interrupted Shi Shang. "Fuck. Are you trying to act like a CEO with me?" The drug in Shi Shang's body was getting stronger and stronger. She endured the feeling until it passed, then continued, "I just wanted to." Ling Yu glanced at her. Without waiting for her to finish, he pushed the door open and quickly closed it. "Damn you! Will you die if you listen to I finish?" Shi Shang was quick to block the door, but her hand was still caught by the door. Hiss. What the hell? Why does I's precious hand keep suffering? Ling Yu heard her gasp and reflexively released his hand. Enduring the pain, Shi Shang pushed the door open and squeezed his way in. Bang! The door slammed shut. Ling Yu retreated a few steps, maintaining a safe distance from Shi Shang. The darkness concealed the emotions in his eyes. Shi Shang leaned against the door and shook his hand. "So King painful. What kind of sin did I commit? Duan Qingyun schemed against me. I had people capture him to kill him. That's all." Seeing that Ling Yu wasn't speaking, Shi Shang hurriedly explained. Because of the pain, she managed to suppress the strange feeling in her body. But with Ling Yu standing in front of her, Shi Shang felt that it was a miracle that she was still able to maintain her rationality and not pounce on him. She rested for a while, then tried to get closer to Ling Yu. If she didn't take the opportunity to sleep with him today, she would really be letting down the drug in her body. "Ling Yu, I don't feel good." Shi Shang grabbed Ling Yu's hand and pressed her body against his. Her body was so hot that Ling Yu trembled slightly. As soon as she touched Ling Yu, Shi Shang felt that all her rationality had disappeared. Right now, she only wanted this person in front of her. She wanted him. Ling Yu. Shi Shang wrapped her hands around Ling Yu's neck and leaned in to kiss him. Ling Yu didn't move at all. It was like a heater was hanging from his body until she reached into his clothes. Only then did he suddenly pick up Shi Shang and walk towards the bed. Little fairy. You guys are so dirty. I'm really going to sleep with you this time. Shi Shang. My hand hurts. Little fairy, I'd rather ask for votes. Come on, throw all kinds of votes at me. Chapter 326. Shi Shang didn't know how many times she did it with Ling Yu. She only knew that in the end, she didn't have any strength left and didn't even know how she fell asleep. By the time she woke up, it was already evening the next day. She was in someone's embrace, her face pressed against his smooth skin. She could hear his clear and strong heartbeat. She reached out to touch it. It felt so good. As she touched it, Shi Shang wanted to go down, but was stopped by someone. Someone grabbed her hand and took out a blanket. He rubbed a finger against the area where the door had pressed down on her last night. It was bruised and swollen. Shi Shang raised her head slightly. Ling Yu was frowning as he looked at her hand. Perhaps sensing her gaze, he lowered his eyes, his face turning red for some reason. However, he maintained his aloof expression. You need to apply ointment to your hand. It's just a minor injury. Shi Shang casually retracted her hand. But it hurt so much. Yep, he couldn't let his wife worry. He had to endure it. Ling Yu let go of her and got up to look for clothes. Only then did he realize that the two of them had been too wild last night. His clothes were already unwearable. There should be some new clothes in the wardrobe. Shi Shang pointed at the wardrobe nearby. She'd asked Dai Yu to prepare them before she left. There was only one blanket on the bed. Ling Yu hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still got out of bed naked. He'd already seen what he needed to see. There was nothing to be ashamed of. When Ling Yu returned with the clothes, not only was his face red, but even his skin was starting to turn pink. Shi Shang swallowed her saliva uncontrollably. Ling Yu, it's still early. We can get up later. Shi Shang grabbed the clothes in Ling Yu's hands. Ling Yu glared at her and pulled the clothes back. It's evening. She thought it was morning. The clothes Dai Yu had prepared were all prepared according to the rules of the Prime Minister's lord. Although the clothes were plain, they were much more luxurious than his Taoist robes. Ling Yu looked like a completely different person in them. He was like a noble son raised by a large family, elegant and noble. My wife looks good in anything. What's a wife? Ling Yu asked, his face red. Wife means lord. Shi Shang was afraid that Ling Yu wouldn't understand, so she explained it in this era. Ling Yu suddenly looked up at her, his gaze filled with surprise. My lord? Shi Shang blinked. Yes, your highness, what's wrong? You want to take me as your master? He continued to ask. If I don't marry you, who else will I marry? Shi Shang retorted. I've told you before that I only have you. Ling Yu lowered his head. But my status doesn't allow me to become a ruler. Shi Shang frowned. It took him a moment to understand what he meant. Taoists were considered illegal in this world. Only those from Mt. Wanyuan were slightly respected. The other Taoists had very low statuses. But even so, Ling Yu couldn't become the head of a family. Ling Yu looked at Shi Shang's unreadable expression and said, Actually, Shi Shang interrupted him and said firmly, If I want to marry you, no one will dare to object. How could she let the person she cherished suffer the slightest grievance? Ling Yu looked at her with a complicated expression. After a long while, he stepped forward and hugged her gently. Ever since that day, Shi Shang moved back to his room and officially cohabited with Ling Yu. The 7 men the Empress had stuffed into the inner courtyard were secretly sent away by Shi Shang without leaking a single word to Ling Yu. The men in the Prime Minister's estate were no longer allowed to serve in the inner courtyard and were all replaced by women. From then on, the entire Prime Minister's estate knew that Sir Ling Yu was the Prime Minister's most cherished person. No one dared to slight him. Everything he ate and used was the best. Some things even the palace couldn't compare to. Everyone in the Prime Minister's estate knew just how much the Prime Minister doted on Sir Ling Yu, who hadn't even married into the family yet. It really didn't feel good to be stuffed with dog food by the Prime Minister every day. He's gone missing? Shi Shang was sitting in his study, his brush spinning rapidly. Yes, I heard that the Ning Prince is also looking for him. Her Excellency had ordered them to capture Duan Qingyun, but they couldn't find him even after searching several streets. The next day, the Ning Prince's men also started looking for Duan Qingyun. Shi Shang stopped spinning his brush, dipped it in ink, and drew a strange thing on a piece of paper. Dai Yu. She couldn't understand what Her Excellency was drawing. Do you recognize this symbol? Shi Shang asked Dai Yu as he pointed at the black blob on the paper. Dai Yu was confused. Ink meeting? Mooncake. Dai Yu was going crazy. Her Excellency, your drawing is too. I can't recognize it at all. Her Excellency, are you sure you're not playing with me? In the end, when Dai Yu took the paper and left, she felt like her entire life had gone wrong. If anyone managed to recognize this thing, she'd call them Dad. Ling Yu happened to be coming down from the corridor and saw Dai Yu standing at the doorway with a piece of paper in her hand. He couldn't help but take a second look at the paper, his gaze darkening. Sir Ling Yu. Dai Yu bowed to Ling Yu, then left in despair. It didn't take long for Dai Yu to gain another father. Of course, she didn't dare to call him that. If she dared to call Sir Ling Yu Dad, Her Excellency would definitely chop her to death. Chop her into 8 pieces. Reality proved that it wasn't that Shi Shang's drawing was too abstract, but that the symbol was abstract to begin with, and when Shi Shang drew it, it became even more abstract. Dai Yu quickly found Duan Qingyun by following the location of the symbol. There was another youth with Duan Qingyun, but the youth was already dead. He looked rather pitiful. Shi Shang was silent for a good while after hearing this. After she left that night, Duan Qingyun had probably gotten into an argument with those people. She didn't know where Duan Qingyun had found these people, but it was obvious that they weren't good people. He actually dared to come here alone in the middle of the night to extort money. As for that youth, she heard that he was Jiang Zi's boy toy. She just didn't know how he got involved. It wasn't until Ling Yu pinched her that she snapped out of her daze and kissed him on the cheek right in front of Dai Yu. She weakly explained, "I wasn't thinking about him." Dai Yu, who was being force-fed dog food, her eyes burned. "Her Excellency, please pay attention to the situation." "Where's the corpse?" Shi Shang cleared his throat and pretended to sit properly. "It hasn't been sent back yet." Shi Shang directly ordered, "Send the corpse to Jiangxi." "My Excellency, that's not a good idea, is it? What if the Ning princess said that they were the ones who killed her man? She wouldn't be able to explain herself. Do you think I'm afraid of her? Send it to her." Dai Yu was speechless. Forget it. There were already so many rumors about Her Excellency, so one more wouldn't matter. Recently, there were rumors in the capital that the Crown Princess's disappearance was caused by Prime Minister Jun Liu. The Empress faction was naturally furious, but they had nowhere to vent their anger. The Prime Minister's faction quietly observed the situation and continued to secretly develop the Prime Minister's faction to strengthen the ranks of the rebels. The attitude of the commoners was rather interesting. They weren't as nervous as they should have been. Instead, they were analyzing whether or not the Prime Minister was responsible for the Crown Princess's disappearance. Some people even started betting. News of Shi Shang's outburst for Lan Yan's sake was also dug up. Was the Prime Minister rebelling or not? When was the Prime Minister going to rebel? ## is the Prime Minister rebelling or not? # please vote. Chapter 327. Shi Shang had originally planned to have someone kill Duan Qingyun, but the Ning princess's men arrived before her men could do anything. Jiang Zi had personally led them there. It was a mountain stronghold, and the area was famous for its bandits. The bandits had already been killed, and their corpses were piled up outside the stronghold. Jiang Zi headed straight for the stronghold. Dai Yu arrived just a step ahead of Jiang Zi and was about to order someone to bring Duan Qingyun out when Jiang Zi appeared. Jiang Zi didn't even look at the unconscious Duan Qingyun. She first looked at the corpse covered in white cloth. Jiang Zi was practically trembling as she pulled the cloth off the youth's body. It had to be said that the youth was very good-looking, but he wasn't wearing a single piece of clothing. Besides his face, everything else was a tragic sight. Dai Yu looked at the unconscious Duan Qingyun. If she killed him in front of the Ning princess, would the Ning princess fight her to the death? In the end, Dai Yu decided against it. The Ning princess had brought quite a few men with her. If she did anything, the Ning princess would label her as an insubordinate. It was better to bring him back and let Her Excellency deal with him. Her Excellency could be willful, but she couldn't. Since the Ning princess is here, we'll leave him to you. Dai Yu waved to the people next to her, then prepared to leave with Duan Qingyun. As for suppressing the bandits, the Prime Minister's estate wasn't in charge. Halt! Jiang Zi called out to Dai Yu in a hoarse voice. Is there anything else, Ning Princess? Dai Yu stopped and turned to look at Jiang Zi, neither servile nor overbearing. Qingyun is this princess's concubine. Where do you want to take him? Duan Qingyun offended Her Excellency, so of course I'm bringing him back for Her Excellency to deal with, Dai Yu replied confidently. As if she wasn't taking a person away, but an insignificant object. How could Qingyun offend Jun Liu? Jun Liu still hasn't given up, right? Dai Yu was speechless. Our Excellency only has Sir Lingyu in her heart, all right? Dai Yu had never liked Duan Qingyun before. Now that she had Sir Lingyu as a comparison, Duan Qingyun was even less worth mentioning. How did you find this place? How did Jun Liu know he's here? Was this her scheme? Jiang Zi continued. Dai Yu tried her best to maintain the demeanor of an expert from the Prime Minister's residence who was second only to one person and above hundreds of others. With the Prime Minister's residence's strength, it's very easy to find someone. What kind of scheme was it for Duan Qingyun? Darren could kill him with a single slap. Qingyun doesn't like her. Why is she so persistent? What's the point of using such a method to get Qingyun? Let him go. Zhang Ji was certain that Shi Shang would not let Duan Qingyun off. King Ning. Dai Yu took a deep breath and said with a hint of mockery, if our lord really liked Duan Qingyun, she wouldn't have broken off the engagement with him back then. Back when the Empress had decreed for Her Excellency and Duan Qingyun to annul the engagement, Her Excellency had specially gone to ask Duan Qingyun about it. It was only because Duan Qingyun wanted to annul the engagement that Her Excellency didn't interfere and allowed the Empress to do as she pleased. If His Excellency was unwilling, the Empress's imperial edict would be useless. Zhang Ji's expression changed. Previously, she had been so agitated by the youth's death that she had lost her mind. In the past, she didn't really understand the power of the Prime Minister's estate, but recently, she had a deep understanding of it. How did Qingyun offend her? Zhang Ji calmed down. No comment. Dai Yu nodded at Ning Wang. Goodbye. Zhang Ji trembled with rage as she watched Dai Yu take Duan Qingyun away. Jun Liu. After a long while, she turned and carried the youth down the mountain. This youth was very clingy and obedient. If Zhang Ji were to rank him in her heart, he would rank second. The first was the man who had saved her from Shi Shang that night, Qin Hua. By the time Dai Yu brought Duan Qingyun back to the Prime Minister's estate, he had already woken up. He didn't seem to have suffered any injuries, and even his clothes were clean. He didn't know why he had been unconscious for so long. He saw the person walking in front of him. Dai Yu. Did the Prime Minister save him? She must have come to save him. He looked around. It wasn't his first time here, so he naturally recognized the Prime Minister's estate. He couldn't help but feel excited. The Prime Minister still had him in her heart. But when he was locked in a woodshed, he realized that something was wrong. What are you doing? I want to see the Prime Minister. Dai Yu looked coldly at Duan Qingyun. See the Prime Minister? Dream on. Dai Yu had the door locked. Let me out. I want to see the Prime Minister. She liked him and wouldn't treat him like this. These servants must have acted on their own. Duan Qingyun's voice was hoarse from shouting, but no one answered him. When Shi Shang heard that Dai Yu had brought Duan Qingyun back, he wanted nothing more than to slap her to death. Why did you bring him back? Even if the Ning Prince was there and you were afraid, what if you left the mountain? The road back is so long. You could have just found a random place to kill him and dump his body. Why did you bring him back? Dai Yu seemed to see the rage in Shi Shang's eyes. She rubbed her nose in embarrassment. What if the Ning Prince came looking for him after she killed Duan Qingyun? Go kill him right now. Shi Shang slammed the table, then left to coax his wife. In the past, Feng Ci would burn him when he was jealous. Perhaps it was because of the frame of this world, but he actually left in a fit of anger. Shi Shang tried to coax Duan Qingyun for a long time, but to no avail. In the end, he was even chased out of bed. Shi Shang felt that he should mark this down for Dai Yu. Just as he was about to go kill Dai Yu, he sneezed several times. Is someone thinking about me? Shi Shang moved to the side of the bed and leaned over to look at the bulging ball on the bed. She poked it. There was no response. I didn't bring this person back to the residence. Wife, please be reasonable. Shi Shang tugged at the blanket. Ling Yu held on tightly to the blanket, but Shi Shang couldn't budge him. She tried to tug from a different angle, but Ling Yu seemed to be competing with her in terms of strength. Shi Shang let go of the blanket with a headache. #wife's jealous and ignoring me. Waiting online, this is urgent. She knew how strong Feng Ci's jealousy was. Sometimes, if she looked at him too much, the other party would suffer. What he was showing right now was only the tip of the iceberg. Shi Shang nagged at Ling Yu like an old mother. Ling Yu curled up in the blanket. He wasn't really angry. Instead, he felt warm, as if his soul was being warmed. He liked the feeling of her coaxing him. It wasn't until Shi Shang had been nagging for about 10 minutes that Ling Yu poked his head out from under the blanket. His face was flushed red, and his forehead was covered in sweat. Shi Shang smoothed his hair. "You're sweating. Do you want to take a shower? Otherwise, you won't be able to sleep well later. Are you still angry?" Ling Yu grabbed her hand. "Promise me something. Speak." Shi Shang nodded. "In the future." Ling Yu's lips moved, but no sound came out. "What is it?" "In the future." Ling Yu gritted his teeth. "I'll be on top." Shi Shang blinked, then suddenly smiled and said indulgently, "All right, if you like it, I'll let you be on top. In the future, I'll let you be on top." Ling Yu didn't expect her to agree so quickly. Apart from being surprised, he was also delighted. In this era, if a woman could let a man be on top, it meant that she really liked him. She liked him to the bone. * Thank you to the cherub for your tips. # daily pleading for votes #. Chapter 328. Shi Shang expressed his cordial greetings to Dai Yu for not only failing to kill Duan Qingyun, but allowing him to escape in the end. "He's so weak. How did he manage to escape from you?" Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. He was clearly smiling, but Dai Yu felt that it was even worse than when Her Excellency was neither smiling nor talking. Dai Yu broke out in a cold sweat. "This subordinate isn't sure either. It was as if I was distracted for a moment, and when I came back to my senses, Duan Qingyun was gone." Smack! Shi Shang slammed his hand on the table, unable to conceal his anger. "Everyone else in the residence is dead. How could you let such a grown man escape?" Dai Yu fell to her knees with a thud. She lowered her head, not daring to speak. This was the strange part. The Prime Minister's residence was surrounded by guards, but no one had seen Duan Qingyun leave. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air from the Prime Minister's residence. Dai Yu was shocked by her own thoughts. How could a living person just disappear into thin air? Something was definitely wrong. Shi Shang rubbed his forehead. Duan Qingyun couldn't have escaped from Dai Yu's hands. Someone must have helped him. "Take control of all the officials in the capital," Shi Shang finally ordered. Dai Yu's eyes lit up. Was Her Excellency going to rebel? Shi Shang wasn't in the mood to rebel. She was cutting off Zhang Zi's escape route. If she'd sent someone to rescue Duan Qingyun, according to the plot, Duan Qingyun would definitely complain to Zhang Zi, and Zhang Zi would be out of her mind to deal with her. Regardless of whether or not this plot would happen, cutting off the enemy's escape route had always been her main goal. Zhang Zi was from the Prince Ning's residence. In the capital, which was controlled by the Prime Minister's residence, she couldn't cause any waves. All the officials in the capital, big and small, were under control. Of course, the Prime Minister's faction was an exception. However, the Prime Minister's faction didn't know what Shi Shang wanted to do. They asked to see the Prime Minister, but were all blocked outside. No one was able to see the Prime Minister. The rumors outside grew more and more intense. The capital was shrouded in a strange atmosphere. It was as if crossbows were knocked and ready to fire at any moment. The Empress urgently contacted all the military personnel in the capital to rescue the Empress. However, there were very few that could be contacted. The news had either been cut off by the Prime Minister's faction, or they had not been able to contact many military forces. There was no way to resolve the current crisis in the capital. When Shi Shang went up the stairs, he heard the Empress smashing things inside. "Prime Minister!" The servants kneeling outside saw Shi Shang coming up the stairs and knelt down one after another, trembling. Shi Shang walked between them and pushed the door open. The Empress was wearing her usual clothes, and she was smashing porcelain. The floor was a mess, and the man in the palace robe was kneeling in a corner with a few other men, trembling. "Jun Liu, what are you doing here? Are you here to laugh at me?" When the Empress saw Shi Shang walk in, she threw the porcelain in her hand at Shi Shang. Shi Shang dodged to the side and looked the Empress up and down. You don't look like a joke. Why do you say you are a joke? The Empress's breath was neither up nor down, and she couldn't utter a single word for a long time. Shi Shang pulled out a chair, shook off the shattered porcelain, and sat down. Do you want to keep your throne? The Empress's hateful gaze landed on Shi Shang like a knife. Jun Liu, what are you playing at? Multiple choice question. Shi Shang took out 2 slips of paper from his sleeve and unfolded them in front of the Empress. Do you choose the throne or your daughter? Humph, will you let me go? The Empress sneered. She had already gone to this extent. Would she give up the throne that was within her reach? Which one do you choose? Shi Shang shook the paper. The Empress cursed malevolently. Jun Liu, you traitor. You will die a horrible death. Last chance. Which one do you choose? The room suddenly fell silent. The Empress stood there, her bloodshot eyes filled with hatred. After a long time, the Empress stretched out her hand and pointed at one of the slips of paper. Shi Shang let go of the other piece of paper. The piece of paper wobbled and landed on the broken porcelain. Tomorrow before daybreak. Shi Shang stood up and pressed the tiger tally and the slip of paper onto the chair. I don't want to see anyone from the Ning Prince's residence again. The Empress was from this world. If she wanted to kill the female lead, the latter's luck wouldn't be as good as hers. Shi Shang smiled wickedly at the Empress. Of course you can use this on me as well, as long as you think you can succeed. The Empress's gaze landed on the tiger tally. Shi Shang walked out of the palace. The people kneeling outside were as silent as cicadas in winter. They wished they could stuff themselves into a crack in the ground so that the Prime Minister couldn't see them. However, the Prime Minister didn't say anything. He leisurely walked down the stairs and disappeared into the night. Men. The Empress's voice rang out in the palace. That night, everyone near the Ning Prince's residence heard the screams coming from within. It was tragic and desperate. Later in the night, a huge fire burned the residence to ashes. Shi Shang saw Duan Qingyun's corpse, but not Jiang Zi's. Shi Shang laughed sinisterly. The female lead couldn't even be killed. Damn it, why didn't she die? Shi Shang sent people out to search, but they couldn't find Jiang Zi even after turning the entire capital upside down. Shi Shang felt that the female lead would be a disaster if he didn't kill her. After a few days of lockdown, the capital was finally lifted. The officials under control were freed. The dark clouds hovering above the capital seemed to have dispersed in an instant. The Prime Minister didn't rebel. The Empress was still in power. The only change was that the Ning Prince's residence had been burned to ashes. It was said that none of the people inside had escaped. Even the Ning Prince had died in the fire. Everyone on the streets was talking about this. Did you know? I heard that on the night of the fire, there were screams in the Ning Prince's residence. Some people even saw the Imperial Guards nearby. You mean Her Majesty? That can't be right. The Prime Minister has the military power now. Could it be the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister and the Ning Prince. The grudge between the two was caused by a man. A few days ago, that man had gone missing. Both the Ning Prince and the Prime Minister had sent people to look for him. These people's imaginations immediately conjured up a huge drama. Shoo! Some people suddenly quieted down and anxiously signaled for their companions to stop talking. Ling Yu came down from the second floor. The people below immediately fell silent. Why was the Prime Minister's pet here? Many people had seen Ling Yu during the Heavens ritual. Later on, they heard that the Prime Minister doted on that little Taoist very much. When they saw Ling Yu following behind Ling Yu, how could they not know who she was? It had to be said that the Prime Minister had excellent taste. No one in the capital could compare to this beauty. That waist, that skin, that face. The Prime Minister was truly blessed. No wonder the Prime Minister treasures this pet so much. If I had him, I'd also dote on him to the heavens. If I could have him under me for one night, I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. Some of the braver ones looked at Ling Yu with ill intentions. Their filthy discussions reached Ling Yu's ears. Ling Yu frowned slightly, his aura suddenly turning cold. "What did you say?" Ling Yu huffed. "Do you want to die?" These people actually dared to call Sir Ling Yu a pet? Weren't they afraid Her Majesty would beat them to death? Asterisk little fairy. Pleading for votes. Chapter 329. Beat them up. A clear female voice rang out from outside the store. A figure walked in, her gaze sweeping over the people who had spoken just now. They could only blame their bad luck for sitting by the window, where Shi Shang happened to hear them. The people behind Shi Shang entered in a single file and gave those people a beating. The others retreated to a corner and looked at Ling Yu with complicated expressions. The Prime Minister had beaten them up just because they said a few words. This little Taoist priest must be really good in bed, to be able to coax the Prime Minister into doting on him so much. They really didn't expect these little Taoist priests to be so good at fighting for favor. Perhaps they could find a little Taoist priest to try their luck. "Let's go home." Shi Shang reached out and grabbed Ling Yu's hand. "These people are nasty with their words. If you see them again, just get someone to beat them up." The coldness in Ling Yu's eyes faded, replaced by a faint gentleness. He shook Shi Shang's hand back. "Why are you here?" "I just came out of the palace and saw the people outside. I guessed that you were here, so I came to take you home." Home. He had a home now too. Let's go home. Ling Yu didn't know that Shi Shang had come to look for him after hearing that Ling Yu was out on the streets. Everyone in the capital knew that they couldn't talk about the Prime Minister's boy toy. Not a single word could be said. Even praising him could lead to a beating. After seeing the extent to which Shi Shang doted on Ling Yu, the aristocratic young masters who used to fear the Prime Minister wished they could turn back time. If they had been more proactive back then, they might have been the ones receiving such treatment. Many of the aristocratic young masters regretted it. Seeing that Shi Shang hadn't officially married Ling Yu, and considering his status as a Taoist priest, these aristocratic young masters couldn't help but feel restless. A Taoist priest couldn't be the ruler. The Prime Minister would have to marry someone else in the end. They still had a chance. As a result, some aristocratic young masters began to approach Shi Shang. Chance encounters, accidents, robberies. They'd used everything they could think of. But they hadn't even touched the corner of the Prime Minister's clothes. This only served to further ignite the competitive spirit of these aristocratic young masters. They all declared that they would take down the Prime Minister no matter what. Shi Shang didn't even want to go out right now, as a group of men would swarm over to him like madmen. Even if she threatened them fiercely, it was useless. "You still haven't found it?" "No, we sealed off the entire capital and searched every street. It's impossible for us to have missed anything." "My lord, do you think Prince Ning is already dead?" That night was so chaotic. If Prince Ning was accidentally killed, it was possible that he was mixed with the corpses and burned. "I won't." How could the female lead die so easily? She could not die until her good luck was exhausted. Although Dai Yu did not know why the Shi Shang was so certain, she still did as the Shi Shang said and arranged for people to search outside the city. Shi Shang returned to her room. That brat Gu Su was actually in her room, and he was standing very close to Ling Yu. "Who let this brat out?" "Senior brother." Gu Su was very afraid of Shi Shang. As soon as Shi Shang came in, he burrowed into Ling Yu's arms. "This woman is so scary." Even his senior brother was bullied by her. Shi Shang reached out to grab Gu Su, but Ling Yu pulled him back and frowned at her. "Shi Shang." Gu Su proudly raised his brows at Shi Shang. "Senior brother still dotes on him the most. Have I spoiled you too much?" Shi Shang narrowed his eyes, his voice somewhat sinister. "Don't think that just because I spoiled you, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Ling Yu let go of Gu Su. "Junior brother, you go out first." "No." If he went out, senior brother would be bullied by this woman again. "Be good." Ling Yu patted Gu Su's head. Shi Shang's gaze became increasingly sinister. It was as if he wanted to chop Gu Su into pieces. In the end, Gu Su was scared out of his wits by Shi Shang's terrifying gaze. "Senior brother, just you wait. I'll definitely save you." Shi Shang expressionlessly pulled Ling Yu to a copper basin filled with water. He pressed Ling Yu's hands into it and rubbed them vigorously for a while before letting go. "It's not that I don't want you to be with Gu Su, but you can't touch him. Can't you promise me this?" Shi Shang lowered his head to wipe Ling Yu's hands, his voice somewhat soft. Ling Yu had also realized that Gu Su usually didn't react much when he spoke to her from a distance. But as soon as Gu Su got close to him, she would immediately turn hostile without any warning. "I'll be more careful next time." He had lived with Gu Su for so many years that Gu Su was like a younger brother to him. Shi Shang pulled his hand and kissed it. Ling Yu's gaze flickered. He suddenly closed in on her and lowered his head to take her lips in his mouth. First, he carefully licked and nibbled on her lips, then became as wild and intense as a storm. Shi Shang was a little confused by his actions. Ling Yu was the one in control, and she was forced to accept and respond the entire time. "Ling Yu, don't be like this. What's wrong?" Shi Shang couldn't see Ling Yu's expression in the darkness, but he was biting her shoulder with so much force that it hurt. He was still inside her, pressing down on her without moving an inch. "Ling Yu?" Shi Shang waited for a while, but he didn't move at all. Instead, he bit down harder and harder, to the point that she suspected that her shoulder was bleeding. Ling Yu released her and licked her lightly with his tongue, causing Shi Shang to tremble slightly. Ling Yu then kissed his way down her neck to her lips. Before Shi Shang could ask any questions, he abruptly moved. Shi Shang was completely dumbfounded. She had no idea how she had offended him. She should be the one getting angry. When everything calmed down, Ling Yu rolled over and went to sleep. He pulled a blanket over himself and didn't leave a blanket for Shi Shang at all. "Shi Shang. F***ck, my wife wants to go to the heavens." Shi Shang was so angry that she forcefully tore off the blanket and pinned Ling Yu down for 300 rounds. Although Ling Yu's body reacted, he didn't take the initiative to respond to her. Shi Shang was instantly discouraged. "Ling Yu, say something. What's wrong?" Feng Ci had a tendency for silent violence. "What the hell? Are you going to marry the Empress?" Shi Shang's heart skipped a beat. She had only discussed this matter with the two youths. How did he find out? When Ling Yu saw that Shi Shang didn't respond for a long time, he assumed that she had tacitly agreed with his words. "I'll return to Yuan tomorrow. I won't delay the Prime Minister from marrying the Empress." Shi Shang snapped out of her daze and pinched Ling Yu's face. "What are you saying?" Ling Yu turned his head and avoided her hand. "Let's just pretend that nothing happened." Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Did he misunderstand something? Shi Shang sighed. "Who do you think I'm going to marry?" Ling Yu fell silent. "If you leave, who am I going to marry? Don't tell me you want to marry me from Yuan. It's not impossible, but it's a bit far. I'm afraid it'll be a bumpy journey. If you insist, I'll send someone to Yuan to make the preparations. There's only one person I want to marry in this lifetime. His name is Ling Yu. And the person I want to marry in this lifetime is Feng Ci. Shi Shang. Please call me Domineering CEO Shi. Chapter 330. You want to marry me? Ling Yu's voice trembled slightly. Be your husband? I promised you. Shi Shang kissed Ling Yu's lips. Don't be angry. I wanted to give you a surprise, but who knew you'd hear half of it from somewhere and misunderstand me? Sorry. Ling Yu's voice was extremely soft. There had been too many young masters around her recently, so he was feeling very insecure. He reached out to touch Shi Shang's shoulder, only to feel something wet. He anxiously got up. You're bleeding. Let me bandage it for you. Why did he bite her so hard just now? Ling Yu climbed off the bed and lit the lamp. With the light, Shi Sheng finally saw that her shoulder and back were practically covered in blood. Was this guy a dog? I'm sorry. Does it hurt? Ling Yu wiped the blood off her back. How about you bite me back? Shi Sheng glared at him. Luckily you bit my shoulder instead of my neck. I'd be dead by now. Sorry. Forget it. Just treat it as leaving a mark. She was really getting more and more shameless. She was definitely going to spoil this guy to death in the future. Ling Yu carefully cleaned up Shi Shang's blood and applied medicine before hugging her to sleep. Do you know why I followed you down the mountain? Ling Yu's voice was a little hoarse in the darkness. Isn't it because I'm more handsome? Ling Yu was speechless. Before Master left, he told me that I couldn't leave Huanyuan for 3 years, or else I'd face a bloody calamity. A bloody calamity? It was most likely related to the female lead. Shi Sheng began to imagine a melodramatic drama. Then why did you follow me down the mountain? I don't know. It's just a feeling. I feel like you. Ling Yu couldn't quite describe that feeling. It was as if being together with her was an incredibly natural thing to do. More importantly, his master had left him 2 brocade pouches. His master had instructed him to only open the first one when someone came looking for him. So after Jiang Ji came looking for him, he opened it. There were 2 slips of paper in the pouch, one of which only had 3 words. Her name. When he saw her for the first time, he somehow blurted out those 3 words. Another note said that she could cure him of his bloodshed. Your master has quite the foresight. Shi Sheng clicked his tongue. He could even calculate this. Yes, master is very powerful. Bring me to meet him when you have time. All right. Wife, don't touch me. My shoulder hurts. I don't want to move. I'll just move. In the wilderness outside the capital, Jiang Ji and a man were holed up in a dilapidated temple. The man's entire body was covered in wounds, and he was half-hugged by Jiang Ji. For the past few days, Jiang Ji had been hiding with this man. However, the people from the Prime Minister's estate were searching for her with great vigor. She could hardly stay in one place for a night. Jun Liu, you and I are irreconcilable. How could she marry a Taoist as her lord? If the Prime Minister really likes Taoist Ling Yu, she can marry him as her lord. But this lord position is absolutely unacceptable. That's right, Miss Ling Yu. Let us in and we'll speak to the Prime Minister personally. How could she marry a Taoist as her lord? That's against the rules. That's right, she can't. Miss Ling Yu, please pass on the message. Ing Yu felt a headache coming on as she was surrounded by a group of officials. You all know Her Excellency's temper. If she says she won't see you, no matter how many times we pass on the message, the result will be the same. After a pause, Ing Yu continued, Her Excellency is determined to marry Sir Ling Yu as her lord. It's useless even if you try to persuade her otherwise. You might as well go pick out a few gifts and make Sir Ling Yu happy. The officials looked at each other in dismay. Does the Prime Minister really dote on Taoist Ling Yu that much? Ing Yu nodded solemnly. Let me remind all of you, sirs. You must never be disrespectful to Sir Ling Yu. The consequences are very serious. They had all heard of the rumors circulating in the capital. However, the rumors were often mixed with both truth and falsehood. Most of the time, there were more false rumors than truth. That was why these officials didn't really believe them. But now, judging from Ing Yu's tone, the Prime Minister really did dote on Taoist Ling Yu as much as the rumors said. Their Prime Minister, on the other hand, didn't even know how to act and was actually obsessed with beauty. Prime Minister's faction. Prime Minister, are you going to rebel or not? Shi Sheng. What rebellion is there in front of beauty? Ling Yu, Prime Minister's faction. Fatuous ruler. Chapter 331. Under Shi Shang's insistence, the wedding was decided in the end. Due to Shi Shang's request, the wedding preparations took several months. During this time, there was no news of Jiang Ji at all. Even if the ministers didn't like Jiangxi, they didn't dare to not attend the wedding. Right now, the Prime Minister had the final say. Even the Empress was under her control. The wedding was so grand that it was a bit shabby to describe it as 10 miles of red. It was clear just how much favor Ling Yu received. The Prime Minister's residence only allowed the Prime Minister's faction to attend the ceremony. Everyone else was arranged to sit at the banquet. Even so, there were still many people attending the ceremony. Ling Yu's wedding robe was more elaborate, while Shi Shang's was simpler. The two of them stood in the wedding hall like two glowing objects, dazzling everyone. First bow to heaven and earth. Ling Yu bowed together with Shi Shang. The moment he bowed, a few images flashed through his mind. They were unfamiliar yet familiar. He tightened his grip on the red silk. Second bow to the parents. The images flashed through his mind so quickly that he couldn't see the people inside clearly. He only felt a sense of familiarity, so familiar that it made his heart burn. Husband and wife bowed to each other. Shi Shang and Ling Yu bowed to each other. The ceremony is complete. As the master of ceremonies announced this, the people around them clapped and congratulated them. Shi Shang held Ling Yu's hand. Holding your hand, we'll grow old together. Ling Yu looked up at her with a complicated expression. A few seconds later, his eyes relaxed, and a smile appeared on his face. After all the necessary procedures were completed, Shi Shang didn't appear again. Ing Yu and Dai Yu took charge of the rest of the ceremony. The bridal chamber was still Shi Shang's original room. However, it had been redecorated, so it was now completely red. Ling Yu sat on the wedding bed and looked at Shi Shang in confusion. Aren't you going out? Isn't she supposed to go out and propose a toast after the ceremony? Accompany those idiots? Shi Shang raised his brows. I'd rather accompany you. Ling Yu was speechless. Although he didn't know what idiots meant, she was definitely scolding those people. Little Taoist, every moment of the night is worth 1,000 gold. We have to cherish it. Shi Shang stepped forward and lifted Ling Yu's chin. For the sake of etiquette, they had been sleeping in separate rooms. It's still daytime. Ling Yu frowned slightly. Shi Shang quickly removed the extra things on his head. It'll be dark if you fall asleep. Ling Yu was rendered speechless. Shi Shang was standing, so Ling Yu had to tilt his head slightly to see her face. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and there seemed to be a smile on her face. It was so gentle that it didn't seem like her. And her gentleness only belonged to him. He was alone. Ling Yu pressed down on Shi Shang's hand that was sliding down his neck. Do past lives really exist in this world? What were those images that flashed through his mind during the ceremony? There were two of them, but they were getting married in different places. Furthermore, they were wearing clothes that he had never seen before. Shi Shang lowered his head and looked at him thoughtfully. After a while, he answered solemnly, yes. Were they together in their previous lives? Was that why he was so familiar with her? Ling Yu loosened his grip slightly. Shi Shang immediately undid his jacket, pushed him onto the bed, and leaned over to kiss him. Ling Yu flipped over and pressed Shi Shang under him. His voice was hoarse. Didn't we agree that I'd be on top? Shi Shang let go of his hands and lay flat on the bed. I'll let you have a taste. Ling Yu's face reddened slightly. Shameless woman. At night, the Prime Minister's estate, which had been bustling all day, sent off the last batch of guests. The entire estate fell silent. A figure stood in a dark alley opposite the Prime Minister's estate, hatefully glaring at the swaying red lanterns. There was a large Shi character pasted on the lanterns. It was so glaring. Jiangxi's fingertips dug deep into her palms. Footsteps sounded behind her. Jiangxi let go and turned around. In the alley, people kept pouring in from all directions, with Jiangxi and a man at the center. I'll avenge you. The man pulled Jiangxi into his arms. I'll get back everything she owes you. Thank you. There's no need to say such things between us. Qin Hua lowered his voice. Qin Hua waved to the people behind him. They immediately scattered and hid in the darkness. When the sounds of fighting rang out, Shi Shang had just finished bathing Ling Yu. "Don't be afraid." Shi Shang comforted him in a low voice, then slowly helped him put on his clothes. There wasn't the slightest hint of nervousness or panic on his face. Ling Yu obediently raised his arms and legs, but his expression was somewhat helpless. Did he look that scared? Did she think that she was too weak? Knock knock. Your Excellency. There was a knock on the door. Shi Shang had already helped Ling Yu put on his jacket. "Come in." Dai Yu lowered her head as she entered. "It's not just the Prime Minister's estate that's under attack. Our people are basically under attack as well. The city's already in chaos. Who's so capable?" Shi Shang took out Ling Yu's flexible sword, but the next second, she turned to Ling Yu. "Take this for self-defense. Don't use it unless it's necessary to avoid dirtying your hands." "Okay." "Dai Yu." "Your Excellency, this isn't the time to be throwing out dog food. It's the Qin Empire." Shi Shang paused for a moment. Only then did he recall that although this world was ruled by women, there were still several smaller countries under the Empress rule. The Qin Empire was one of them. The Qin Empire was still a country ruled by men. Qin Hua. Dai Yu was astonished. "Your Excellency, how did you know?" Shi Shang's lips curled up in a mocking smile. How could he not know about one of the FL's most beloved men? This man also had a high and mighty status. He was the heir of the Qin Empire and had once been gifted to the Crown Princess. As the FL's man, he would definitely rebel and not obediently marry the Crown Princess. Qin Hua had run into the FL when he was escaping and was injured. She had saved him, and he had been hidden in her estate ever since. "What are they trying to do?" "Rebel." Shi Shang changed the topic. "They're killing our people." "Aren't you the one who's rebelling?" "They're saving the country, right?" "Your Excellency, it's not good." Ing Yu hurriedly ran in from outside. "The Empress contacted the Zhenyuan general at some point, and her army has already surrounded the capital. The Zhenyuan general had the most military power now. Previously, when the Empress contacted her, the Empress had ordered them to cut off the news. Somehow, the news still reached her. The Zhenyuan general had been stationed at the border all year round. The Empress had tried several times to withdraw her military power but failed. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. "The army is already outside, and you didn't notice anything?" Ing Yu broke out in a cold sweat. She didn't dare to talk back. "Your Excellency, it's your subordinates' fault. They really hadn't noticed the Zhenyuan general's army before. Was there a traitor among her men?" Ing Yu and Dai Yu had always done their jobs well. They shouldn't have made such a mistake. The Zhenyuan general had brought back at least tens of thousands of people. Even if there was a traitor among so many people, it was impossible to hide. Shi Shang thought of Duan Qingyun's disappearance and Zhang Ji's inexplicable disappearance. His face suddenly turned ugly. Was the heavenly Tao of this world helping Zhang Ji? * Please vote. 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 Chapter 332. Shi Shang arranged everything in an orderly fashion, her domineering demeanor causing Ling Yu to be a bit dazed. She was born to stand at the top. The Protector General was still outside the city, so Shi Shang ordered his men to guard the city gates while the rest surrounded Qin Hua's men. The imperial palace was also tightly guarded by her men, so no one could enter or leave. Because the 2 months had been thinking of rebelling, many of their troops were stationed outside the city. This made it easier for them to deal with the Protector General. What should have been a warm and peaceful wedding night had turned into a slaughterhouse. Shi Shang took out his iron sword and looked at Ling Yu. "Do you want to go out and kill people with me? Are we competing to see who can kill more people?" "I'll kill you, watch." Ling Yu was speechless. What's the point of that? In the end, Ling Yu followed Shi Shang because Shi Shang didn't feel comfortable leaving him here. It was better to bring his own wife with him. She even found a carriage for Ling Yu and had a group of people protect it while she rode in front to open up a path. Qin Hua's men had somehow snuck in, but there were actually quite a few of them. At first, they only killed people from the Prime Minister's faction, but later, they didn't care who they were. As long as they weren't their own people, they would kill them. Shi Shang's entourage quickly attracted the attention of those people. Jiang Ji and Qin Hua also heard the news and hurried over. The two sides met on a street that wasn't very spacious. Shi Shang was wearing a dark-colored brocade robe and was riding a tall horse in high spirits. His unbound hair fluttered in the night wind, and his every movement was dashing and confident. "Jiang Ji, you're not dead yet?" "I knew it was her." "You're not dead yet, so how can I die?" Jiang Ji gritted her teeth. "Jun Liu, today is the day you die."
"Oh.
What do you mean?" Shi Shang raised his brows. Jiang Ji straightened her back in order not to lose her imposing manner. "The Protector General has already surrounded the city. You have nowhere to run. So you were the one who notified the Protector General. No wonder the heavenly Tao of this world was helping the Protector General. The heavenly Tao was intangible and couldn't directly help the female lead, but it could influence people's hearts. So what if I am? Whatever you say is nonsense. Let's just fight." Shi Shang swung the iron sword in his hand and slapped the horse's butt. The horse immediately charged forward. Jiang Ji's expression changed. Qin Hua took her and retreated. The people behind him immediately rushed forward and rushed toward the Shi Shang while shouting slogans. If it weren't for the fact that there was no spiritual power in this world, she could have killed this group of people with her iron sword in minutes. This was not the first time that Jiang Ji had seen Shi Shang in action. However, no matter how many times she looked at it, she couldn't calm the shock in her heart. What was the origin of her sword? Protect her well. Qin Hua pushed Jiang Ji to the people behind him, then dashed towards Ling Yu's carriage. Shi Shang watched his movements with a cold smile. He didn't do anything and continued to slash people with his sword. Fresh blood dyed the ground black, and the air was filled with the stench of blood. It was so thick that it was nauseating. Qin Hua easily reached the carriage. Although he was surprised, he didn't dare to stop moving. He reached out and lifted the curtains. Ling Yu was sitting inside, dressed in plain clothes. His clothes were scattered all around him, and his expression was indifferent as his gaze met Qin Hua's. Qin Hua stabbed his dagger at Ling Yu, but Ling Yu remained seated. The strange feeling in his heart grew stronger and stronger, but he couldn't stop now. The dagger stopped a finger's length away from Ling Yu's heart. Qin Hua felt a great force in front of him, and he couldn't stab any further. "Did you think I would bring him out for a stroll without any preparations? Do you think I'm retarded?" A cold female voice rang out behind him. Then, he felt himself being sent flying by a great force and landing in a pool of blood. PFFF. Qin Hua clutched his chest. Blood surged through his body, and his hair stood on end. He looked like a shamate from ancient times. Qin Hua looked at Shi Shang, who had ridden up to the carriage at some point. Her expression was one of disdain, as if she was looking at a piece of trash. "Don't act on impulse. Do you understand my strength? Do you know how much power the Prime Minister's estate has? You need to have the strength to be angry for a beauty. Am I right, heir of the Qin kingdom?" Qin Hua's pale face immediately darkened. "She even knows my identity." Shi Shang urged his horse closer to the carriage and reached out. Ling Yu stood up and placed his hand in Shi Shang's. Shi Shang exerted some force, and Ling Yu sat in front of her while she wrapped her arms around him from behind. Shi Shang had to thank the fact that women in this world were generally taller than men. Otherwise, she really wouldn't have been able to handle this position. "Kill," Shi Shang ordered. The people who had been protecting Ling Yu no longer protected the carriage and charged in all directions. The sounds of battle rang out once more. Shi Shang brought Ling Yu along as if she were looking at flowers on horseback. She was so leisurely that it made people grit their teeth and want to stab 2 holes in her body. But attacking her would result in the same fate as Qin Hua. Ling Yu fiddled with the object in his hand. It was a small round ball, and its surface was covered with small holes that looked like honeycombs. It was a very sci-fi looking ball. Whether it was the workmanship or the design, he had never seen anything like it before. She had given it to him when she left the residence. He didn't expect it to be so powerful. The energy inside can only be used for 2 hours. It's enough for self-defense, but it's not very useful, Shishang explained when she saw his curiosity about the ball. This kind of material could only be found in the interstellar plane. If there was a chance in the future, she would make him a long-lasting one that could attack and defend. Ling Yu turned to look at her and suddenly asked, "Where did you come from?" Shishang was stunned. "You're not the original Jun Liu," Ling Yu continued. "Where did you come from?" Jun Liu wouldn't have such a strange object, nor would she be so arrogant. No matter how he looked at her, she wasn't Jun Liu. She didn't fit in with this world. "I came from..." Shishang paused, then suddenly hugged him tightly. "Are you afraid of me?" She didn't want to lie to him. So if he asked, she would tell him. But he was still using the body of an ancient, so he would be restricted by this body's thoughts. She was afraid that if she told him, he would be afraid of her. Shishang's only response was Ling Yu's warm lips. No matter who she was, he only knew that she was his. Shishang immediately seized control of the situation. Only when the two of them were both out of breath did they part. "I came from an even more distant spacetime." They weren't just separated by spacetime, there was also, "Will you leave?" "I will. Until the day you die. If you're here, I'm here." "If you're here, I'm here," Ling Yu repeated. The last bit of unease in his heart completely dissipated. If he was here, she would be here. The audience below was speechless. "Your Excellency, this isn't the time for you to show off your public display of affection. This is a battlefield. A battlefield, all right? Can't you act a little more like the Prime Minister? So many people are watching." #hashtag Prime Minister gives out public display of affection every day, torturing a single dog to death #hashtag cold public display of affection slapped all over my face #hashtag thanks to Cherub for the tip #hashtag daily please for votes #. Chapter 333. Shishang patted Ling Yu's hand and looked around. The sounds of fighting had already stopped. Zhang Ji was nowhere to be seen, Qin Hua had been captured, and everyone else was lying on the ground. "Where's Zhang Ji?" "Female lead Sama, are you trying to ascend to the heavens?" "I have so many people here, but none of them can stop you." The people below shook their heads in confusion. None of them had seen her. "Your Excellency, what do we do with him?" Someone pointed at Qin Hua. "How about we just kill him? He's the heir of the Qin Empire. If you want to kill him, just kill him." Shishang rolled his eyes. "Bring him to the Empress to kill." "Everyone. What's the difference? Isn't he going to be killed in the end anyway?" Shishang brought Ling Yu into the palace, while the others chased after Qin Hua. They had 2 legs, but Her Excellency had 4. There was no way they could catch up. The palace was surrounded by people from the Prime Minister's residence. As the Empress, there was nothing she could do aside from throwing a tantrum and smashing porcelain bottles. As a result, when Shishang brought Ling Yu in, the floor was still littered with porcelain bottles. Just how many bottles had the palace prepared for her to smash? Last time, the floor was covered in broken pieces, and this time, it was covered in broken pieces again. Was this a waste? In the future, this would be money. The Empress was dressed very normally this time, and there weren't any male pets in the palace. The Empress glared at Shishang venomously. This woman, she hadn't been able to plot against her several times. Every time, before her plans could be carried out, she would cause a series of unexpected events. Throwing a tantrum like that. You're already old, but now you're even older. Shishang clicked his tongue, ignoring the Empress's ugly expression. Bring him in. Qin Hua was brought in. Perhaps on purpose, when Qin Hua was standing in front of a pile of broken porcelain, the person behind him kicked his calf, causing him to kneel. Blood immediately flowed from his knee. The person behind him looked pleased. Who told you to plot against the Prime Minister? And on the day of her wedding? You're courting death. The Empress coldly looked at the group of people. There was no use in saying anything now. He had lived a glorious life for most of his life, but in the end, he ended up like this. Shi Shang personally brought over a chair and placed it in front of Ling Yu for him to sit. Only then did he turn to the Empress. The heir of the Qin kingdom is attempting to rebel. Your Majesty, how do you think we should deal with him? Weren't you the one who wanted to rebel? The Empress gnashed her teeth in hatred. If she could pounce on Shi Shang and bite him to death, she would definitely pounce on him right now. Prime Minister, you can do whatever you want. There's no need to ask me. Now that all the power was in her hands, wasn't this just embarrassing her? It seems that you still don't know. Shi Shang's lips curled into a smile, with malice and mockery. Your daughter. King Ning asked the Zhenyuan army general to encircle me. Hearing this, the Empress's eyes suddenly lit up. Zhenyuan general. Do you think Zhongzhi will forgive you? Shi Shang's words were like a basin of cold water being poured over his head. The scene of her besieging Prince Ning was still vivid in her mind, as if it had happened yesterday. She was the one who called the Zhenyuan general back. Would she come to save him? Logic told the Empress that she wouldn't. If she were the one who was besieged by her own mother, she wouldn't forgive her mother either. Even if Zhongzhi was her family. In the maelstrom of the imperial family, there were no emotions to speak of. Ha ha ha. The Empress suddenly threw her head back and laughed loudly. She stumbled backward, tripped over an obstacle, and fell to the ground. Her laughter came to an abrupt end, and the Empress suddenly covered her face and cried bitterly. She was probably the first Empress in history to end up like this. How would the history books write about her in the future? Shi Shang. What the hell are you crying for? After crying for about a minute, the Empress wiped her tears and stood up from the ground. After being an Empress for so many years, she still had an imposing aura. Jun Liu, what do you want? Speak. She had already come this far, so there was no way out. Shi Shang shrugged. I'm just here to deliver you a traitor who wants to rebel. It's up to you how you want to deal with him. The Empress stared at Shi Shang, her eyes bloodshot, as if she wanted to see a flower in Shi Shang. Shi Shang's gaze was calm as he held Ling Yu's hand with one hand. The Empress glanced at Ling Yu, who was still sitting on the chair, then took a deep breath. Drag him out and execute him. Qin Hua's mouth was gagged, so he couldn't say a single word. All he could do was glare at Shi Shang with resentful eyes. Shi Shang smiled nonchalantly at him. Winner takes all. Who told you to lose? That night, the Prime Minister's wedding. That night, the Protector General's army besieged the city. That night, the Crown Prince of Qin was executed. Qin Hua's death probably provoked Zhongzhi, as she and the Protector General began to attack the city. Shi Shang's men had all retreated back into the city. The sounds of fighting outside the city shook the heavens and the earth. The citizens inside the city had long been scared out of their wits by tonight's events. During the day, they were still immersed in the joyous occasion of the Prime Minister's wedding. But at night, blood flowed like rivers, and the city was about to fall. The battle to eradicate the traitors and save the Empress had officially begun. The Protector General's army had traveled a long distance and didn't even have time to rest before entering the battle. They basically lost the first few rounds. But in the last few rounds, they actually won the battle. In their camp, there was a female lead from the modern era. It wasn't surprising that they could use the tactics summed up in the modern era to win. The morale of the Protector General's army was greatly boosted. Prince Ning, you're really amazing. In the tent, Zhongzhi stood with a woman in armor. The woman patted Zhongzhi's shoulder generously. It's just a little trick. Zhongzhi didn't smile. She couldn't smile at all. She suspected that Shi Shang had also traveled through time like her, but she didn't have any evidence to prove whether or not it was true. She could only end the battle quickly. She didn't want to give Shi Shang a chance to fight back. "You're too modest, Prince Ning." The Protector General laughed again. "If it weren't for Prince Ning's arrangements, we probably wouldn't have one." After the two finished discussing business and decided on the next strategy, the Protector General immediately sent people to make arrangements. After the arrangements were made, the Protector General looked at Zhang Ji standing outside the tent. Her back looked a little lonely. She couldn't help but feel moved. "Don't be sad. You'll be able to avenge them soon." The Protector General patted Zhang Ji's shoulder. Zhang Ji didn't respond. She just looked at the city wall in the distance. The Protector General sighed and looked over as well. The city wall was brightly lit. There were people moving on it. It could be seen from afar that they were very busy. "What are they doing?" the Protector General muttered. It was the middle of the night. What were they doing on the city wall instead of sleeping? After being reminded by the Protector General, Zhang Ji's scattered thoughts came back. She looked over. It was a little far. She couldn't see what they were doing, but they were obviously very busy. Zhang Ji frowned and looked for a while. She really couldn't see clearly. The Protector General had already sent someone to check. The person who checked soon came back. After listening to the report, Zhang Ji and the Protector General discussed and came to a conclusion. They wanted to attack with fire. Zhang Ji couldn't help but show a mocking expression. She had thought of this before, so she moved the camp back a little. With the ability of this era, there was no way to throw flint so far away. * Request votes. Monthly votes T*T. The double event was about to end. Request votes. Chapter 334. On the City Wall. Shi Shang had people set up the items. These were all enlarged slingshots that had been modified. Shi Shang held several small purple balls that were wrapped in a layer of yellow talisman paper. She called for people to gather around. "Are the people below ready?" Shi Shang turned to ask Dai Yu. Dai Yu immediately nodded. "They're ready." Shi Shang distributed the balls to a few people. "In a moment, I'll give the order for you to shoot these over. Wait for the explosion to subside before charging over." "Understood." "Understood. Get ready." The people who had been given the balls stood in front of the enlarged slingshots, their palms sweating. They had never seen the things the Prime Minister had given them, so they didn't know if they could shoot them over. Shi Shang looked at Ling Yu, who was standing beside him. Ling Yu's face was pale, but he shook his head at Shi Shang, indicating that he was fine. Shi Shang stroked his face, feeling sorry for him. "We'll go back after this is over. I told you not to draw talismans. I have a way to deal with this." Shi Shang had always wondered why Ling Yu had spiritual energy in his body. He hadn't expected him to know how to draw talismans. Talismans were a skill in Taoism, and a well-drawn talisman was very useful. But in this world, Taoism was still in its infancy. Ling Yu had figured out these things himself, so spiritual energy only existed in his body. This was equivalent to a gift from the heavenly Tao. Once people learned about talismans in the future, the spiritual energy in this world would slowly become richer. Ling Yu gripped Shi Shang's hand tightly. "I want to do something for you too." He didn't want her to always be the one giving. Drawing talismans would only make him weak for a while. He would be fine after some rest. Shi Shang didn't say anything else and turned to give the order. The small balls wrapped in talismans were shot out like bolts of lightning, cutting through the night and landing in a distant tent. Bang! Bang! The violent explosion caused the city walls to tremble. These people had never seen such a powerful explosion before, so they were all frightened. It took them a while to react and rush into the enemy camp. The explosion covered a wide area, and there was a large crater in the ground. Electricity sizzled inside the crater. In the chaos, people fell down. There was only one outcome for those who fell, and that was to be turned into charcoal by the electric current. The Shi Shang didn't throw it randomly. The amount of these small balls was within the tolerance range of this world, so no strange things appeared in the sky. Zhang Ji was still dumbfounded when she was caught. She couldn't understand why she had such an advanced weapon. Even if she was a transmigrator, she wouldn't be able to create such an advanced weapon, right? Zhang Ji requested to see Shi Sheng. She had a lot of questions, but Shi Sheng refused to see her. The war ended in such a muddle-headed way. The strategies that Zhang Ji and the Zhenyuan general had discussed were completely useless. Zhang Ji and the Zhenyuan general were locked up in the dungeon. Both of them looked a little embarrassed. The chains rattled, and the sound of footsteps came from afar. Your Majesty. When the Zhenyuan general saw the people gradually approaching, her eyes suddenly lit up, and she rushed to the door of the prison. Your Majesty, this humble subject is not plotting a rebellion. This humble subject is here to save you. Your Majesty, please investigate clearly. The Zhenyuan general would never have thought that this would be the reason for her imprisonment. She had clearly come to save the emperor. How did it become a rebellion in the end? Zhang Ji curled up in a dark place, staring at the empress with resentment. The empress stood outside the prison door, surrounded by people. She was still graceful and dignified. The disheveled woman who had cried bitterly in front of the Shi Sheng was long gone. The empress waved her hand and dismissed everyone. Your Majesty, save this humble subject. The Zhenyuan general reached out to tug at the empress's clothes. The empress let her tug. She lowered her eyes and said faintly, "You shouldn't have come back. You shouldn't have come back." Your Majesty? The Zhenyuan general looked at the empress blankly. What did she mean? The prime minister did not rebel. The empress's voice trembled when she said this. She didn't want to admit this was the truth, but it was the truth. The prime minister did not rebel. She was still the empress. She was still the prime minister. How could it be? She. The Zhenyuan general looked at the Ning Wang. Why did you kill me? Zhang Ji asked through gritted teeth. The empress looked at her. There was no guilt in her expression, only disappointment. If I were you, I wouldn't have come back so quickly. The most ruthless imperial family. I've learned it today. In the past, this sentence was empty. Her recent experience made her deeply understand what it meant to be the most ruthless imperial family. What did she transmigrate to this place for? I will let you die with dignity. The empress sighed and turned to leave. Although she was the empress now, it was no different from before. The power was still in the hands of that person. Zhang Ji was in the dungeon, making a fuss about wanting to see the Shi Sheng. When the news reached the Shi Sheng, she didn't even bat an eyelid. Why should she go see him? Who did she think she was? She wanted to clear her doubts? Why should she? Go ask the king of hell with your doubts. The empress gave the two of them poisoned wine. It was said that Zhang Ji didn't want to drink it. Someone forced it down her throat. It was clearly a cup of poison that took effect quickly, but when it reached Zhang Ji, she lived for half an hour longer. The female lead's good luck hadn't run out yet. This matter came and went quickly. The people who didn't know the truth really thought that the Ning Wang plotted against the Zhenyuan general to rebel. Who dared to say anything when they knew the truth? In the throne room, the empress looked down at the prime minister, who was daydreaming. She waved her hand weakly and said, "If you have something to report, please report. If not, the court is dismissed." I have something to report. The empress looked up at that person. The Shi Sheng also seemed to be disturbed by her and tilted his head to look at her. That person trembled and braced himself to report. The general idea was for the empress to appoint a crown prince. The empress frowned. She wasn't in the mood to appoint a crown prince. Even if she was willing, would the person standing below be willing? That makes sense. We should appoint a crown prince. The empress thought she had heard wrongly. She actually agreed. When the Shi Sheng spoke, the people below immediately echoed his words. Prime Minister, which princess do you think is qualified? The empress gave the choice to the Shi Sheng. The Shi Sheng immediately looked back at the empress like she was retarded. This isn't my country. How do I know who is qualified? The empress was speechless. You're holding the power now. Isn't this your country? In the end, the argument didn't reach a conclusion and they could only leave it unsettled. The Empress didn't go to court for a long time. She didn't have much power anyway. If something happened, the Prime Minister would be there. It didn't matter whether she went to court or not. She spent all her time in the harem with her male pets, drunk and dreaming. As a result, the entire court was in chaos. The Empress sent people to find the Prime Minister if something happened. The Prime Minister was much simpler and cruder. It wasn't her job. Why should they find her? Go find the Empress. In the end, the Empress found that her Prime Minister really didn't want to care about these things. She had to climb out of the arms of the beauty and deal with the court. Asterisk the Empress. I'm devastated to meet such a strange Prime Minister. Chapter 335. Under Shishang's protection, the Jun family had developed rapidly and was now completely above the imperial family. But their thick thigh was only for one person to hug. They were all hugging Sir Ling Yu's thigh. Only by coaxing Sir Ling Yu would they have a chance to meet the Prime Minister and have her do things. She had never seen anyone pamper someone so much. Not even in history. Shishang had delegated authority to the Jun family. In any case, she had completed her mission. How far the Jun family could go was up to them. Shishang brought Ling Yu and the two youths back to Muanyuan. Ling Yu clearly preferred this place to the outside world. Shishang naturally followed him. Away from the crowd, it was more convenient for Ling Yu to belong to her alone. She was very satisfied. But that Gu Su had almost been hacked to death by Shishang several times. If not for Dai Yu's timely arrival, Gu Su would have died many times over. After Dai Yu took Gu Su away for the nth time, Shishang exploded. I told you not to touch him. Don't you understand? Shishang wanted nothing more than to slap Ling Yu to death. Ling Yu replied innocently, he's my junior brother. Shishang. So what if he's your junior brother? I'm your partner. Can junior brother spend the rest of his life with you? No way. You're pissing me off. Shishang huffed and left with a flick of his sleeves. If you don't coax me, I won't get on your bed. Ling Yu shook his head helplessly and chased after her, grabbing her hand. Let's go down the mountain for a walk. What down the mountain? I'm not going. Shishang swung his hand away, his expression saying, I'm very angry right now, whatever you say is useless. Ling Yu's ears reddened and he kissed her on the lips. What about now? No way. I'm not that easy to bribe. Ling Yu kissed her again. I'll think about it. He continued kissing her. Not sincere enough. He continued kissing her. Only when Shishang's anger subsided did he agree to go down the mountain. When they heard that Shishang was going down the mountain, the two Yu and Gu Su looked at her tearfully. They wanted to go too. Shishang was speechless. He didn't want to bring a burden with him. My lord. Let us go, let us go. Humph. He was there to see his senior brother. In the end, Shishang brought the 3 2,000-watt light bulbs down the mountain. She had left the imperial court for almost 2 years, but as soon as she entered the city gates, she was immediately surrounded by people. Isn't this the Prime Minister? Are you coming back to rebel? How long has it been since the Prime Minister attended court? Ever since the incident where Jinyuan General's army pressed down on the city, this was what these people said the most. Was the Prime Minister rebelling today? Not yet. They dared to say this because they knew that the Prime Minister would not rebel. If she wanted to rebel, she would have done so long ago. With a dark expression, Shishang pulled Ling Yu away from the crowd while shaking off the burden behind them. Shishang looked at the people around him and felt a little strange. Why is it so lively today? Shishang shielded Ling Yu, preventing him from being brushed up against by the people around him. Ling Yu was already used to Shishang's protection, so he enjoyed it with a clear conscience. The two of them walked and stopped for a while before finally choosing a place to eat. By the time they finished eating, it was already dark outside. It was only now that Shi Shang realized what she had felt was wrong. Today was the begging festival. No wonder she had felt that something was off. Many of the things being sold on the streets were related to the begging festival. Little Taoist. Shi Shang called Ling Yu meaningfully. What was this guy trying to do by dragging her out today? Ling Yu glared at her. Oh, he's even glaring at me now. His temper is getting worse. The begging festival was very lively. Young men and women would meet to stroll around the streets and light up lanterns. The atmosphere was very good. Ling Yu pulled Shi Shang along with him and quickly arrived at a place. What are we doing here? Shi Shang looked at a large tree full of small signs and looked at Ling Yu in confusion. He didn't believe in these things, did he? As it turned out, Ling Yu really did. He bought 2 brands from the side and handed one to Shi Shang. Shi Shang was speechless. She stared at Ling Yu for a few seconds before helplessly accepting it. It wasn't easy to carve words on a sign. Fortunately, there were craftsmen nearby who specialized in carving words. Shi Shang pulled Ling Yu over. The people in line probably recognized them and made way for them. So this is the Prime Minister and Sir Ling Yu? What a good match. The Prime Minister only has Sir Ling Yu as her master, and she treats Sir Ling Yu even better. Will you only have me as your master in the future as well? Hey, wait a minute. Several couples parted unhappily at each other's hesitant answers. Shi Shang and Ling Yu smiled at each other. What does Sir want to carve? The craftsman asked in fear. This is the Prime Minister. Do you have pen and paper? Ling Yu asked politely. Why yes. The craftsman hurriedly pointed at the paper on the side. There was a saying here that if 2 lovers wrote a promise in front of the 3-life tree, it would become true. When they grew old together, they would be able to come back and see the promise they had written. Shi Shang's expression was indifferent. When they grew old, the sign on the tree would have changed so many times that it would be impossible to find it. Ling Yu warned Shi Shang, "Don't look." Shi Shang pursed his lips. Fine, I won't look. Who cares? After Ling Yu went over to write, Shi Shang said to the craftsman, "Just carve his name for me." Yes, Prime Minister. The craftsman immediately took the sign from Shi Shang and lowered his head to carve. By the time Ling Yu came over, Shi Shang had finished carving. The sign was made up of 2 movable wooden signs. The name was carved on one of them and couldn't be seen once it was closed. Once the words were carved and tied with a red string, the 2 of them walked over to the terrifyingly large 3-life tree. You toss it. Shi Shang handed the sign to Ling Yu. Ling Yu took the sign and clasped his hands together, bowing to the 3-life tree before tossing it up and hanging it on a green leaf. A crisp sound could be heard as it swayed. Shi Shang looked up at the sign. Ling Yu took her hand and intertwined their fingers. The 2 of them stood there for a while before turning to leave. The commotion slowly died down and the crowd dispersed. The craftsman sitting under the 3-life tree prepared to pack up. Suddenly, his vision darkened. When he looked up, he was so frightened that he almost fell to his knees. Prime Minister! Prime Minister! Shi Shang squatted down and looked him in the eye. Help me carve 2 more names. The craftsman was dumbfounded. The Prime Minister had come for this. But there aren't any free signs. Shi Shang frowned and looked around. The vendor who had been selling signs earlier had already disappeared. Shi Shang remembered where Ling Yu had tossed the sign, so he took it down and had the craftsman carve it there. The craftsman was puzzled, but he didn't dare to ask and obediently carved it. Shi Shang held the newly carved sign and imitated Ling Yu. He clasped his hands together, bowed, and tossed it up again. The night wind blew, and the sound of the wooden sign colliding against each other was as pleasing to the ear as a wind chime. Faintly, for names could be seen on the tangled wooden sign. Ling Yu, Li Yu. Feng Ci, Shi Sheng. Asterisk the 11th world had ended. Seeking votes T to the power of T. Chapter 336. My name is Daiwe, but I actually have a surname. My surname is June. I'm from a side branch of the June family. In fact, the Prime Minister should call me his cousin. Ever since I could remember, the people around me had always instilled in me the idea that my entire life belonged to the June family's young mistress, June Leo. I had to be loyal to her. I had to protect her with my life. I didn't understand at the time, so I couldn't help but be rebellious and run away from home several times. The first time I saw her was in a restaurant. I'd already left home for several days and had squandered all my money. I was so hungry that I had no choice but to steal food from the restaurant. In the end, I was caught and beaten up. Then, I saw a beautiful little girl standing on the top floor of the restaurant, curiously looking down at us. Without exception, I saw my mother beside her. My mother was her wet nurse at the time. I probably didn't like this young mistress at the time. After all, she stole my mother and wanted me to work for her for the rest of my life. I was kicked and punched, but my mother hugged her and softly told her not to look. She didn't even look at me. In order to fight back, I bit my lip and didn't scream. Then, I heard her say to my mother in a soft voice, "It's Daiwe Jeje. Wet nurse, tell them to stop." She actually knew me, and could even call out my name. My mother sent people to bring me up. My body was dirty, but she didn't mind at all. She pulled me to eat and circled me like a bee. But I disliked her even more. Perhaps it was because my rebellious phase was relatively early, but when she was annoyed, I pushed her. She was only 5 years old at the time. My push caused her to fall to the ground. Then, she looked at me with a wronged and innocent expression. At the time, I should have felt a little guilty. But when I thought about how everything I was going through was because of her, that bit of guilt disappeared without a trace. In the end, my mother slapped me and punished me to kneel in the ancestral hall. At the time, I couldn't understand this matter at all. She was clearly my mother, so why did she hit me for someone else? It was late autumn at the time. I knelt alone in the ancestral hall and thought about this question over and over again, but I couldn't figure it out. I didn't expect her to sneak in. Her small body was hugging a quilt that was big enough to drown her, and her small face was red from the cold. She told me a lot, but I can't remember any of it. I only remember hugging her and huddling under the blanket to keep each other warm. That morning, my mother brought some people to look for her. In the end, she found her at my place and wanted to punish her on the spot. However, she stopped my mother and said that if she wanted to hit her, she could hit her. In the end, the matter was left unsettled. Ever since that day, I have been by her side. At that time, she was very cute. She was soft and squishy, and her words were soft and crisp, with the innocence of a child. At first, I was a little reluctant, but after getting along with her for a long time, I had long forgotten that I had once made a childish vow that I would rather die than serve her. Only after following her did I realize that what she had to learn far exceeded what I had to learn. But every time, she would obediently finish her studies. She would always work hard to finish her homework and take me out to play. After a long time, the people in the residence knew that she liked me, and their attitude towards me became much more polite. Only then did I realize how much her affection meant to them. It was a snowy day when my mother came to talk to me. It was a very heavy snowfall. I still remember my mother's expression. It was solemn and filled with heartache. She said, "Child, the little mistress has the entire June family on her shoulders. It isn't easy for her. It is an honor and a responsibility for you to be by her side. You have to treat her well, respect her, and protect her." It was snowing heavily outside the house. My mother talked endlessly for a long time. In the end, she hugged me and cried bitterly, saying that she was sorry. But if she didn't do this, the June family would be finished. Only when the little mistress was well would they be well. I don't know how I walked out of my mother's room. I only know that when I walked out of the room, I saw her standing not too far away, her little face red as she waited for me. When she saw me come out, she immediately smiled. In the vast expanse of snow, her smile seemed to be dyed with the brightest color. It was so bright that it made my eyes ache. It was as if a warm current flowed through my heart, dispelling the bone-piercing cold of winter. From then on, I went to school with her, learning those unfamiliar and difficult things together. Every time I didn't understand something, she would patiently teach me. In the 3rd year, Ingyu was sent over. Ingyu was younger than both of us. When she was sent over, she had a timid expression on her face. At that time, I didn't understand how such a person could stay by her side. Later, I learned that Ingyu was a fast learner and had practiced martial arts since she was young. At first, she was a little shy, but after getting to know her better, I discovered that Ingyu was a very lively girl. From then on, the 3 of us formed a small group. Before she turned 13, her personality was still very gentle. In the summer when she turned 13, she and the former Prime Minister talked for an entire night in the study. When she came out, her eyes were red and she hugged me and Ingyu and cried for a long time. We asked her, but she didn't say anything. But from then on, her personality became more and more stable. It was hard to guess her emotions from her face. She didn't say what she liked or cared about, and she wasn't picky about food. I don't know when, but the number of people serving her decreased. In the end, only Ingyu and I were left. Even my mother didn't appear. When she was 15, the former Prime Minister suddenly passed away. At that time, I understood that when she turned 13, she probably knew that her mother didn't have much time left. She should take on the responsibility of the Jun family. As it turned out, she did very well. Many times, I thought that I would accompany her for the rest of my life, laugh with her, grieve with her. But one day, a man appeared by her side. Only then did I understand that we weren't the only ones by her side. She should have someone she liked. That person should laugh with her, grieve with her, and grow old with her. I didn't expect her to leave the imperial court. That position was clearly within her reach, but she gave it up. For a long time, I didn't understand, just like how I didn't understand why my mother slapped me back then. Many years later, I realized that she probably never liked that kind of life. But she had no choice. For the sake of the Jun family and the hundreds and thousands of family members, she had no choice but to bear that burden. Now that she had the ability, she could escape unscathed. She had arranged the Jun family's future path properly. The life she chose was the best for her. No matter what kind of life she lived, Ingyu and I would accompany her. Dayu, what are you thinking? Your Gu-Su ran off to Sir Ling Yu's place again. If you don't go, Her Excellency will chop him to death. Ingyu popped out of nowhere, giving me a fright. I helplessly held my forehead. Gu-Su. I don't know how he became my family's youth. Hurry and go. Seeing that I didn't move, Ingyu grabbed my hand and ran outside. It's not that I want to nag you, but can't you talk to him properly? Her Excellency doesn't like him getting too close to Sir Lingyu. I also know that Her Excellency doesn't like him getting close to Sir Lingyu, but what can I do? Good morning. Chapter 337. After bringing Gu-Su back from Darren, I only wanted to tie him up. But he looked at me pitifully. Dayu, what right does she have to monopolize Senior? Me, because Sir Lingyu is Her Excellency's official husband. I wrung the handkerchief dry and walked over to him, wiping his face. Her Ladyship told you not to get too close to Sir Lingyu. Just stand there and talk to him. Why can't you remember? Why do you keep pouncing on him? Gu-Su felt even more wronged. But he's my senior brother. I didn't know how to respond. He had lived with Sir Lingyu since he was young, so it was normal for him to have a sense of dependence. I'd better keep an eye on him in the future and not let him see Sir Lingyu. The days on the mountain were leisurely. Most of the time, they didn't know what time it was down there. When we received news from the Prime Minister's mansion that the Empress had passed away, Ingyu and I were surprised. Looking at the Empress's appearance, she should have no problem living for at least 10 more years. How could she be dead? Even though His Excellency has not been in court these past few years, His Excellency's power is still in the hands of the Jun family. These people are extremely loyal to the Jun family. His Excellency is probably the first person in history who has not been in court for several years and is still sitting on the Prime Minister's throne. The Empress had passed away, and the Prime Minister naturally had to return to court. I packed my things and prepared to go down the mountain with my lord. Thinking that it would probably take a month or so for him to return, he couldn't help but worry about Gusu. I went to his room to look for him and found him packing too. A few years had passed, and the youth from back then had grown into a handsome man. It was probably because he had been practicing martial arts all year round that he had an extraordinary heroic spirit. He was even more attractive than the men at the foot of the mountain. I was a little stunned. He had grown so big without me noticing. "Dayu," I heard him call. "Impudent. You should call me Sister Dayu." I came back to my senses and walked in. "Why are you packing your things?" He cleverly avoided the first question and directly answered the second one. "I'm going down the mountain with you. Senior brother has already agreed." Even after so many years, he was still so attached to Sir Lingyu. Moreover, he had trained hard so that he knew how to fight back when the adults wanted to chop him. Every time, Darren would be so angry that he stomped his feet. "Let's go down." Who knew what would happen? I wanted to persuade him not to go, but looking at his expectant eyes, I didn't say anything. Her Excellency and Sir Lingyu went their own way as usual, spreading dog food all the way. Ingyu complained at the side, causing Gusu to quarrel with her. In the past, his life had been tense and fulfilling, but now he felt that such a life was not bad. Although Darren hasn't been in court for a few years, his prestige hasn't decreased at all. Everything went smoothly. The new Empress was the third child of the Empress. In the past, she didn't have much of a presence. Unexpectedly, she was the last one to ascend the throne. "Dayu, today is the Qiqiao festival. Senior brother went out with her. Let's secretly follow them." Gusu rushed over and grabbed my hand with an anxious look on his face. "Milord and Sir Lingyu go to the Three-Life Tree every year during the begging festival. What are we going to do there?" My voice trailed off towards the end. He glanced at Gusu from the corner of his eyes. The trembling youth that she had held in her arms all those years ago had already grown so big. "Senior brother didn't take me there in the past. Take me there." Gusu shook my hand and acted like a spoiled child. She probably wasn't acting coquettishly. It was just my imagination. I sighed. "If Sir finds out, he'll kill me." No. We'll just take a look from afar." I had no choice but to bring him out. The Qiqiao festival was very lively every year. I followed the crowd and brought Gusu to the Three-Life Tree. From afar, I could see Milord and Sir Lingyu standing under the Three-Life Tree. Sir Lingyu seemed to be looking for something while Milord dragged him away. I watched them. I didn't even know when Gusu had left or returned. He waved a wooden tablet in front of me. I looked at him in surprise. It was too dark for me to see his expression, but I could hear his voice. "I heard that lovers who make a wish under the Three-Life Tree can grow old together. Do you want to try?" At that moment, I seemed to hear my heart thumping. The seed that I had buried time and time again grew into a towering tree, its branches wrapping around my heart. "If you don't want to, then forget it." Gusu suddenly put the wooden tablet away and turned to leave. I tugged on his arm. "I want to." Gusu turned back. Fireworks suddenly bloomed above his head. They weren't very pretty, but they seemed to become more beautiful as they bloomed in his dark eyes. I once asked Milord what was the most sincere thing to write on the Three-Life Tree. She said, "Names. There's no need for extra words. Just put their names together and that's enough." When our names were engraved on the wooden tablet, I suddenly understood why Milord insisted on giving Sir Lingyu the best, unwilling to let him suffer the slightest grievance. "Dayu." I turned back. Gusu's handsome face suddenly enlarged in my eyes. Before I could react, his lips covered mine. When did he stop calling me Dayu? It's been so long. Every time I said it, he would change the topic. I actually didn't notice. Yue and Milord didn't seem surprised that Gu Su and I were together, their expression saying that it should have been like this from the start. Milord's expression was even richer. I interpreted it to mean something along the lines of, I can finally marry off this idiot so he won't bother my wife anymore. In order to prevent Gu Su from bothering Lingyu, Milord directly prepared their wedding at the Prime Minister's residence. I didn't expect Milord to bring my mother here. I hadn't seen her for many years. Ever since the previous Prime Minister passed away, she left the Prime Minister's residence and went to a farm in the countryside. She was already old. Mother. I kowtowed heavily to her. Good, good. Mother's wrinkled face bloomed into a smile, but there were tears at the corners of her eyes. Gu Su stood beside me, a little nervous. He followed my example and kowtowed to Mother. Mother. Mother seemed to be unable to control herself and began to sob quietly. After a long while, she finally said, Mother is very happy to see you get married. She took out a brocade box from her sleeve and beckoned Gu Su over. Gu Su glanced at me. Seeing me nod, he got up and walked over. Mother opened the box, revealing a jade pendant. She solemnly handed it to Gu Su. I'll have to trouble you to take care of her in the future. I will, Gu Su answered seriously. I couldn't help but laugh. I really wanted to ask him, who's taking care of who? The wedding wasn't simple, but rather grand. In the main hall, Mother sat at the head of the table, looking at her and Gu Su with a kind expression. Mother originally wanted Milord to sit there as well, but Milord refused. She didn't give a reason and only refused expressionlessly. Mother didn't dare to say anything else. The Master of Ceremonies spoke. First bow to the heavens and earth. Second bow to the parents. Husband and wife bow to each other. Asterisk thank you to the cherub who tipped me for feeding me. Kneeling and asking for rewards over 2000 T-carat hashtag love grows after a long time hashtag please vote. 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 Chapter 338. Shi Shang lived on that plane until she was over 60 years old. Ling Yu left before her. Back in the system space, Shi Shang immediately drew his sword. Slash the screen. There was only one screen in the system space and nothing else. After the Shi Shang was done, he sat down on the ground and stared blankly. The system was so scared that it didn't dare to speak for a long time. Why was the host's temper becoming more and more unpredictable? Host, Shi Shang turned to look at the undamaged screen. I want to see your master. Mother *Ker, what's the point of hiding behind the system? If you have the ability, come out and fight me face to face. Host, this system really can't take your words coming out of nowhere like this. The system was silent for a long time. I'm sorry, host. You can't meet my master yet. The system finally answered. Reason? Don't want to see me? Was it fear or something else? Master said that I can't talk nonsense, can't talk nonsense, can't talk nonsense. Shi Shang knocked on the screen with his iron sword. Is it broken? What kind of trash is this? You should have been sent to the recycling bin long ago. It's not broken. Master said that I can't talk nonsense with you, or I'll be exposed. The system swiftly displayed the information. Name, Shi Shang Prestige, 150000 HP, 35 points, 24,000 mission grade. B mission score, 93 hidden quest. Complete hidden mission reward, 2,000 points item list, Queen's Crown, Ghost King's Heart *CK. I deducted 4,000 karma points again. What did I do this time? After your death, the Jun family fell into chaos. It didn't take long for them to disappear in the torrent of history. Shi Shang. Was this also her fault? I'm not convinced. Don't think you can spout nonsense just because you're a system. She could protect the Jun family for now, but she couldn't protect them forever. In the end, they had to work hard on their own. This is just the result. The cause is other consequences created by the Jun family, causing the plane to become unstable. Shi Shang. What does that have to do with me? The system was silent for a while before saying, "You didn't leave any children for the June family." Shi Sheng frowned. She did not deliberately not get pregnant, but she did not have children in several planes. This was not her fault. What was the meaning of throwing it at her? Anyway, it's all your fault. The system was being unreasonable. Are you sure you want to enter the next dimension? Initializing teleportation. F*CK your grandpa, IF** king wait. After sending off Shi Shang, the system heaved a sigh of relief. It was really scared to death. The screen suddenly flickered a few times, and a blurred figure appeared on the screen. Master, there are some problems with Feng Xi's memory. Take care of it. Yes. No matter what she asks you in the future, don't answer her. Do you understand? Master. The system hesitated. You seem to be very afraid of her? The screen was silent for a while. You'll know what kind of person she is and what kind of abilities she has in the future. It's useless for me to tell you this now. Wasn't he just an arrogant and unbridled person who had his own bug? If she's so powerful, why is she still doing missions? Judging from her master's tone, it seemed that she could even leave on her own. She probably didn't leave before because it was fun. Now, she's doing it for Feng Xi. We have to make her completely fall in love with Feng Xi. The voice became more serious. Ah. She doesn't love Feng Xi now? She's spoiling him so much. The other side sneered. What do you think she's raising now? Raising? Pet. She likes him, but love. I don't think she's already in love with him. It's just a possessive feeling. You have to be patient when dealing with her. But they didn't have much time, Master. If they failed, they wouldn't have a chance to find a second host. She really didn't understand why her master chose such a tough nut to crack. She's special. The screen flickered, and the figure disappeared, returning to Shi Shang's information page. Our homeroom teacher is on leave because she's pregnant. I wonder who's taking our class. Please don't let it be that Mediterranean guy. Listening to his class is like hypnosis. Shi Shang could hear the chattering in her ears. She took a while to open her eyes. She was lying on the table. Her arms were a little numb from being pressed down for a long time. She looked around. It was a classroom. It was probably break time, so the students were gathered in twos and threes. They were all young, around 13 or 14 years old. They were full of youthful energy. The classroom was huge, and it was filled with desks. It seemed like a normal school, not an aristocratic one. I saw the principal with a woman the other day. She was so pretty. Really? The students' topics always changed quickly. While she was looking around the classroom, the girls in front of her had already changed the topic from the homeroom teacher to the principal. Shang Xia. The girl in front of her saw Shi Shang looking around and yelled, "Did you sleep too much? Don't you know where you are?" The other girls laughed, but they didn't mean much. "You sleep all day. What did you do at night?" Shi Shang. How would I know what she did? All right. Look at her. She's in a daze. Go back to sleep. We'll wake you up after the next self-study period. A girl in front of her pressed Shi Shang's head onto the table. Shi Shang's head hit the table. Fortunately, she was cushioned by a book, so she didn't hit her head. Shi Shang didn't look up and started reading the plot. This was a revenge story about rebirth. The female lead, Shan Jirin, was killed by a scumbag and AB*TCH. She was reborn 10 years ago. She unlocked the mysterious treasure eye, appraised treasures, gambled on stones, started a company, dabbled in the underworld, fell in love with the mysterious male lead, slapped her enemies in the face, dealt with her terrible relatives, unraveled the mystery of her birth, and reached the peak of her life. There was no abuse in the story. It was a perfect mother. The original Shang Xia's parents passed away. They left behind an inheritance that was enough for the original Shang Xia to spend in a few lifetimes. She was adopted by her parents' best friend. In her previous life, the female lead and Shang Xia had crossed paths, but they didn't get along. They didn't like each other, but they didn't have a deep hatred for each other. Before the female lead died, she met Shang Xia in an alley of a bar. At that time, the female lead was being defiled. She asked Shang Xia for help. Shang Xia was on the phone. When she heard the noise, she glanced over. It was too dark, so she couldn't see clearly. It was noisy on the other side of the phone, so she didn't look over and just left. The female lead was defiled to death. After she was reborn, she hated the original Shang Xia. The female lead said that her previous life was a thing of the past and that the original Shang Xia wasn't the one who killed her. But every time she saw the original Shang Xia, she would remember the helplessness and despair she felt when she died. She only needed to come over and take a look to save her. Deep down, she blamed the original Shang Xia. When she was doing things, she unconsciously put the original Shang Xia on the opposite side of the enemy. She put the original Shang Xia in danger time and time again. In the end, the original Shang Xia became mentally ill and committed suicide. Feng Ci. You don't love me? Shi Shang. Don't listen to his nonsense. You believe the words of a retard? Are you retarded? Chapter 339. This kind of cannon fodder female supporting lead's only wish was revenge. The host's wish was the same. The host didn't do anything wrong to the female lead. She and the female lead didn't see eye to eye, but she didn't do anything against her. The female lead hated the host because she didn't save her at that time. The host didn't have the ability to save her, but why did she save her? Was it because of the beauty of human nature? Which idiot would go and seek death when they saw several grown men assaulting a woman? Even some grown men couldn't do it, let alone a young girl like the host. What would have happened if she had gone? Moreover, the host didn't see the situation clearly. Life was like countless forks in the road, and each fork had an ending. What kind of ending you had was determined by what kind of path you chose to take. And what kind of path you chose was determined by whether the people around you would influence your choices. Life was filled with countless multiple-choice questions. The host's life had taken the worst path because of the female lead's interference. The female lead had been reborn for a while. She had just transferred to this school and was in the same class as the host. The host's memory of the female lead stopped at, it was a girl. It was already self-study. Shi Shang raised his head and looked in the direction of the female lead. The female lead was sitting upright with her hair in a ponytail. Probably because she had been reborn, her temperament was very different from the other students. Shi Shang propped up his chin and looked at the female lead unscrupulously. Perhaps sensing Shi Shang's gaze, the female lead turned her head to look at him. She had a young and tender face. Her appearance was above average, but her temperament was very good. She was like an orchid in a pile of gaudy red flowers, clear and cold. Their gazes met. Shi Shang's eyes were as calm as ever, without any ripples. The female lead frowned slightly, and a slight expression of disdain appeared on her face. Then she turned her head and continued to read the book in her hand. Shi Shang blinked. Was the female lead looking down on the host just now? What was she looking down on? Shi Shang looked away and flipped through the host's desk. The first thing he saw was a full score math test. Shi Shang flipped through the host's other test papers and clicked his tongue. The host was a top student. Some people were probably born to learn. Their brains worked faster than others, and they could maintain first place by just casually learning. The host was such a person. She was such a smart child, yet the female lead made her end up like that. He didn't know if it was because the female lead's halo was too strong, or because the supporting female lead's IQ dropped too quickly. Ding-ling-ling, when the bell rang, the students all around ran out of the classroom like sheep out of a pen. Junior high school. It was the time of innocence. Shang Xia, let's go. Why are you still in a daze? Someone knocked on the table. The girl who had told her to call her after school stood in front of her. The girl's information immediately popped up in Shishang's head. Yao Qin and the original host were friends, but they were just ordinary friends, not heart-to-heart. Usually, after school, Yao Qin and the other two girls in front of her would walk with the original owner. Oh. Shishang responded. He pushed the things on the table under the table, grabbed the backpack behind the chair, and got up to follow Yao Qin out of the classroom. These girls were really noisy. Shishang followed them from the classroom to the school gate. He had already decided that he would never walk with them again. It was scarier than 3,000 ducks. See you tomorrow. Yao Qin waved at Shishang. Shishang waved lazily and heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally sent 3,000 ducks away. This was just an ordinary school, and the concept of money was still limited to who had a car. People had to squeeze into public transport or walk home. Moreover, in this era, smartphones had yet to appear. Cell phones were just being used, and most people used landlines. Most people couldn't afford to use computers. Students didn't spend their days playing games in the virtual world. After school, except for those who wanted to go out to play, most people chose to go home. Shishang stood at the door and yawned. When he narrowed his eyes, he saw Shen Jirin coming out of the school gate. She seemed to have seen Shishang as well. Her expression was the same as before. Shishang put his hands on his hips. What was she so disdainful about? Shen Jirin didn't stop and left the school gate. Shishang flung his backpack and walked towards the bus stop. The original owner was staying at her uncle's house. He was a good friend of her parents and the uncle who had adopted her, Gu Yan. When Shishang returned home, he happened to see a woman coming out of the house. Her high heels clicked loudly on the ground. It was obvious that she was using a lot of strength. She was pulling a suitcase. Jinx! The woman scolded angrily when she passed by Shishang. You're crazy, Shishang immediately replied. What did you say? The woman was about to go over, but turned back when she heard Shishang's words. Shishang's eyes curved. I said you're crazy. Silly girl, you're rebelling. The woman was enraged and reached out to pinch Shishang's face. Zhao Qian, what are you doing? A loud shout came from behind. Zhao Qian's hand froze in mid-air. She turned her head and saw a tall figure walking towards them. He had regular features, sharp eyebrows, bright eyes, and a fierce aura. His footsteps were steady and powerful. He must have been trained. Gu Yan walked to Shishang's side and shielded her behind him. She's still a child. Zhao Qian, where's your upbringing? Zhao Qian was so angry that she laughed. Upbringing? Didn't you hear her scolding me just now? Gu Yan frowned. She's young and immature. You're being so calculative with her. All right, Gu Yan. I've already broken up with you. You can continue to spoil this girl. She'll be spoiled rotten by you sooner or later. Let's see how you'll deal with it then. Don't blame me for not reminding you. She's not your child. Don't be so devoted to her. Who knows if you'll raise an ingrate. You're on your own. Zhao Qian dragged her suitcase and left in her high heels. Shishang looked at Zhao Qian's back calmly while Gu Yan furrowed his brows. Gu Yan turned around and looked at Shishang. His tone was stern. Why did you scold her just now? She broke up with you. Shishang grabbed his bag and walked into the house. Gu Yan was speechless. Why did he feel that there was something wrong with this girl? Just as he was feeling puzzled, he heard her voice. Isn't there something wrong with her to give up on such a good man like you? Zhao Qian was Gu Yan's girlfriend. They had been together for almost 7 to 8 years and had gone through a lot together. However, they had often argued about how to treat the original owner of the body. They had been together for so many years and were supposed to get married at the end of the year. However, Gu Yan had encountered some problems with his business recently and Zhao Qian had broken up with him without hesitation. They had argued several times before and the original owner of the body had been afraid to go home recently. Zhao Qian would always use the original owner of the body as an excuse. Gu Yan watched as Shishang's back disappeared through the door. His anger and depression seemed to have dissipated a little. He strode in with his long legs and said to Sher Shang, who was about to enter the house, "Let's go out for dinner tonight." Little fairy. Someone, serve the pickled vegetables. Bah! Serve the food. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.